Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening, wearing pristine white robes, sat at the head seat. As he spoke, genuine emotion overwhelmed him, tears streaming down his face. Obirama, seated second, silently covered his face and whispered sternly. Brother. You're the strongest Hokage. There's no need for this. But. Hashirama turned teary eyes toward his brother. I'm just so moved. Haha, Lord Hashirama remains as emotionally unrestrained as ever. The Raikage said gruffly around a chicken leg. The Kazekage chimed in. Truly, time spares no one. 6 years have passed, we've all aged somewhat. Take Mist and Rock for example. The guards who attended the 5 Kage summit back then have now become Kage themselves. Yet Lord Hokage remains youthful. Humphrey, you flatter me, Kazekage. Hazuki Genjutsu stroked his thin mustache, eyes narrowing mockingly. How could Lord Hashirama, the god of shinobi, be compared to stone villages aging rocks? Before insulting others, you should examine yourself. Foolish people always end up cursing themselves without realizing it. Retorted second Sushi Kage Mew from across the table, his voice muffled. Fool! Look at your appearance, neither human nor ghost. How dare you criticize others? Genjutsu spread his hands and sneered. But I can't blame you. After all, your stone village is full of rejects. Do any of you look like proper humans? He casually pointed. Hey, that short stack over there. If you don't climb onto the table, I can barely see you. Behind Mew, Onoki stood like an attendant, glaring venomously at the mist contingent as his hands formed a seal. Calm yourself, Onoki. We needn't lower ourselves to a jackass's level. Mew said, glancing at his disciple. Bandage-wrapped freak. Insult me once more and I'll bury you myself. Genjutsu slammed upright, killing intent pouring forth. Enough. Obirama rapped the table sharply. On this joyous occasion, neither my brother nor I wish to see bloodshed. Moreover. He drew out the pause, forcing all ears to focus. You'd do well to remember. His crimson eyes swept across the gathering. Madara Uchiha. Still lives. Chapter 60, Nightfall, vanished silently years ago, driven by personal motives. Obirama hadn't disposed of Madara's corpse. Taking advantage of Hashirama's unconscious state, he had secretly relocated it to a hidden chamber deep in the mountains. Yet after his battle with Kamiane, when he dragged his exhausted body to that secret chamber, he discovered Madara's corpse was merely a shadow clone. The room plunged into silence. Thus, Tobirama painted Madara Uchiha as a world-hating destroyer of peace, spreading this narrative across the nations. The 5 great countries tensed, perpetually fearing the day Madara's scythe would strike. But 6 years passed with no sign of the so-called Madara. Doubt now gnawed at Tobirama's claims. Clap. Clap. Hashirama drew all eyes by patting his hands. Banquets demand merriment, not grim talk. His smile seemed casual, but his question cut sharp. Where's Sasuke? And Hikaku? The leaders of 2 great clans are late to their own feast. As if summoned, a thunderous boom erupted outside the Hokage Tower. Blinding light flared, heat waves rattling every window. Hashirama shot to his feet, gaze piercing the direction of the explosion. The Sarutobi compound. 10 minutes earlier Sarutobi Sasuke stretched outside his clan grounds, dismissing his patrol team. Rubbing sore shoulders, he headed toward the tower. You look weary, clan head Sasuke. He turned to find Hikaku Uchiha humbling closer, a friendly smirk in place. Age spares no one. This era belongs to youths like you. Sasuke chuckled. Hikaku fell into step beside him. Haven't seen Hiruzen lately. He is finalizing a summoning contract within his clan. Mirrors told me you're students under Lord Tobirama. Don't get along. Oh? Sasuke's smile tightened. Here to settle scores, clan head Hikaku? Merely curious. Hikaku waved dismissively. But your reaction confirms it. Since when do you care about Kagami Uchiha? Sasuke kept his tone light, wary of the Uchiha's famed cunning. Shink. A pale blue chakra blade pierced Sasuke's chest. He stared, stunned, at Hikaku. "I've always cared." Hikaku purred. Poof. The real Sasuke, having substituted with a log, leapt onto a nearby wall, hands already sealing. "Clever." Hikaku drawled, flicking blood off his blade. "My clansmen never noticed their leaders being replaced." Summoning jutsu. Sasuke roared. "Come forth, Inma." Smoke billowed as the towering Monkey King materialized, fists slamming the earth with ground-shaking force. No intention to reminisce at all? How utterly lacking in sentimentality. Kamiane, disguised as Hikaku, shook his head with feigned regret. His figure blurred as he effortlessly dodged Inma's attack. "I have nothing to say to you." Sasuke raised his hand. Inma twisted midair, transforming into the Vajra staff that slammed into his palm. He snarled, "Kamiane Uchiha. Exposed already? Hey. Very well. Hikaku Uchiha. No, Kamiane Uchiha." Opened his blazing crimson eyes. Then. 20 seconds. That's all I need. Sasuke gathered strength and swung upward. The colossal Vajra staff pierced the heavens like celestial iron, crashing down with skull-splitting force. Yet Kamiane stood motionless. Seal formations flashed through his hands. Fire style, dragon flame singing technique. Flames detonated. 4 vivid dragon heads illuminated the night, their scorching breath surging toward the Sarutobi clan compound. "You." Sasuke's eyes widened. If his staff completed its descent, Kamiane would perish. But the compound would be obliterated in the inferno, corpses littering the ground. This despicable tactic pushed shamelessness to its limits. At the critical moment, Sasuke retracted his staff. Channeling chakra, he spun the Vajra staff to scatter the flaming dragons. SSKKT. 3 azure sword energies tore through the air. Sensing them in advance, Sasuke raised his staff to block. Sparks erupted from the Vajra staff like blazing fireflies. Yet behind him, a phantom solidified. The blade frost on autumn leaves gleamed jade green, its edge finer than spider silk as it slashed toward his throat. Inma's hand. A hairy arm shot from the Vajra staff, seizing the luminous blade. Hot. 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 Inma's pain shout echoed as the hand retracted. Kamiane leaped backward. The ground trembled as he formed seals midair. Fire style, majestic demolisher. Inhaling deeply, he expelled a sea of flames that coalesced into a meteor. The air temperature skyrocketed past thousands of degrees. Sasuke's clothes began smoldering before the attack even landed. Fortunately, Inma's intervention had bought him time. Planting the staff, Sasuke whirled it into a frenzy. Violent winds gathered, sucking the flames into the Vajra staff's vortex before they could spread. Hiss. Teeth clenched, Sasuke ignored his blistering skin. As the staff spun faster, gale force winds engulfed the battlefield. Even airborne Kamiane became trapped in the suction, hurtling toward the staff. Vajra prison. Sasuke hurled the staff. White smoke exploded as dozens of duplicates materialized, interlocking into a cage that trapped Kamiane. Die. Sasuke formed a fire seal, but the imprisoned figure transformed into a severed log. What? A crushing force swept his legs. Kamiane had materialized behind him, delivering a devastating sweep kick that launched Sasuke horizontally. Rasengan. The humming sphere materialized in Kamiane's palm. With a vicious grin, he slammed the spiraling chakra orb into Sasuke's back. Catapulted by the force, Sasuke shot forward like a spear. Not done yet. I'll fight with my life. Demonstrating a veteran shinobi's instincts, he channeled Yang-style chakra to protect his vitals an instant before impact. Though internal organs sustained damage, it wasn't fatal. Gathering chakra midair, he forced it toward specific meridians. 8 gates. A dark silhouette flickered. Air cracked as Kamiane appeared before him, index finger piercing his sternum. Futile. Kamiane's smile remained razor sharp. I anticipated this move long ago. Sasuke's eyes widened in terror, the chakra that had just surged within him instantly dissipating. 6 years ago, you managed to sever my arm. Kamiane's voice carried glacial detachment as moonlight refracted through frost on autumn leaves' blade. Today? You don't even qualify to witness my true form. Jade green luminescence erupted from his fingertip. The sword's radiant stream pierced through Sasuke's body like divine retribution, simultaneously detonating the building behind him in an explosion of shattered masonry. Ah! Kamiane glanced down at his borrowed body's leg, where the ankle joint had dislocated. Using instantaneous movement techniques in another's flesh. Truly inconvenient. His hands formed a single seal. Across from the Sarutobi compound, hundreds of explosive tags buried beneath Hidden Leaf Village's Ninja Academy ignited simultaneously. Kaboom! The detonation shattered windows 3 blocks away. Classrooms disintegrated into rubble as the three-story structure pancaked downward, concrete dust blooming like funeral flowers. Though evacuated hours earlier, watching Obirama's painstakingly crafted structures collapse brought vicious satisfaction. Each crumbling wall felt like erasing the second Hokage's fingerprints from history. Exactly 37 seconds later, Kamiane turned leisurely. His enhanced vision captured Hashirama's straw sandals crushing gravel. Obirama's chakra boiling like acid. 4 Kage materializing through smoke. Rows upon rows of Enbu with snarling animal masks. The formation precisely mirrored that moonlit night 11 years prior. Only now. No crimson-armored figure would descend like avenging god from the skies. Chapter 61, Good Luck in the Coming Battle. Hidden Leaf Village. Upon the ruins stood a solitary figure. The dying flames illuminated his form, causing the crimson glow of his Sharingan to flicker intermittently. At his feet lay the utterly limp body of Sarutobi Sasuke, devoid of breath. Inma, having dissolved into white smoke due to the death of its summoning contract holder, had completely vanished. Hikaku? Hashirama's expression turned grave, his eyes blazing with towering rage. Why would you do this? Kamiane scratched his head with feigned distress. How should I answer this? It could be said to be a momentary impulse, or perhaps a long-standing scheme. In any case, I simply acted on desire. Brother, this isn't Hikaku Uchiha. Obirama stepped forward, his countenance severe. The Hikaku they remembered, though of the Uchiha clan, had been modest and amiable. He had always flawlessly executed Hidden Leaf Village's directives and coordinated affairs perfectly, precisely why the village supported his rise as clan leader. But the eyes of this being before them were too sinister, too malevolent, utterly different from the warm and humble Hikaku of old. I am Kamiane Uchiha. The blade of Madara Uchiha. Kamiane declared through Hikaku's stolen vocal cords. What? This proclamation sent shockwaves through the assembly. The Kage of the 4 great nations exchanged glances, each seeing trepidation reflected in the other's eyes. The second Sushi Kage-mu narrowed his sharp gaze, preparing to advance when he suddenly noticed Genjutsu Hazuki had stealthily retreated behind the group. Hashirama immediately stepped forward, his eyes blazing. Is Madara alive? Kamiane revealed a cunning smile. Care to guess? Am I a child? Guessing games? Hashirama's eyes widened impatiently. Where is he now? Was the Nine Tails incident his doing? Are these attacks on Hidden Leaf Village under his orders? Lord Hashirama, you ask too many questions. Fortunately, I know all the answers here. Kamiane raised a finger to tap his temple. But I refuse to answer. Obirama's piercing stare locked onto Hikaku's face, his mind racing through possibilities. Both visual confirmation and chakra sensing confirm this is undoubtedly Hikaku Uchiha's body. But what could transform him into another's puppet? A Mangekyo Sharingan Ganjutsu? Impossible. No illusion can manipulate a puppet with such precision, replicating even micro-expressions. That leaves only one possibility. The forbidden technique stolen by Kamiane 11 years ago. Soul possession. But there's more. The principle of soul possession jutsu involves separating spirit from body to possess others. While superior spiritual energy can dominate the host, the original soul remains present, creating constant interference. No controller could maintain such flawless manipulation unless the soul possession jutsu interacts uniquely with Uchiha spiritual energy, granting the caster absolute authority over the target's soul. As his deductions deepened, Tobirama's brows knitted tighter, his face darkening ominously. If this is indeed soul possession jutsu, he covertly signaled behind his back. Barrier Team and Boo members immediately understood, slipping away under night's cover. Enough reminiscing. Kamiane clapped sharply. I come to declare war upon all 5 great nations and their 5 Kage simultaneously. Humphrey, such arrogance. Raikage slowly removed his jacket, revealing obsidian-hued musculature. Lord Hashirama, allow me to eliminate this vermin. All Kage except Genjutsu tensed for action. Wait. Hashirama raised a restraining palm. If declaring war, why hide in another's flesh? Did Madara teach you such cowardice? You overstep your lecturing privileges, Hashirama. Kamiane's gaze swept across the leaders, each word dripping with menace. I wish you all good luck in the coming battles. Now. Let the war commence. Releasing his grip, several Nekoya-made smoke bombs instantly detonated. An overwhelming white cloud engulfed the battlefield. Hashirama's eyes narrowed as he swung his arm downward. Brother! Obirama shouted. Wind style, turbulent current. The second Sushi Kage's jutsu dispersed the smoke, revealing the scene within. Gigantic vines had sprouted from ruins, binding Hikaku's body. Dozens of wooden spikes hovered above his head as the possessed Uchiha lay unconscious. Such ease? Raikage cracked his knuckles disappointedly. This is Madara's famed blade? Don't lower your guard. Obirama warned grimly. This rat's cunning. As the words hung in air, a shrill cry erupted behind them. Boyle style, skilling mirage. Obirama whirled around in horror, pupils contracting to pinpoints. The central plaza erupted in cataclysmic explosion. Superheated steam flattened the already ruined Hidden Leaf Village Academy. Every Kage except Hashirama was hurled airborne by the blast. Gen. Get. Su. Mew's roar of fury shook the battlefield. He'd sensed the anomaly milliseconds before detonation, instinctively leaping clear, but Onoki lay unconscious amidst debris. Sushi Kage-sama. The Mizukage is being controlled. Obirama's urgent shout went unheeded. Before Mew's hands, a perfectly proportioned translucent cylinder materialized, humming with annihilation energy. Compose yourself. A colossal wooden dragon erupted from Earth, snapping at the airborne Mew. TCH. The Sushi Kage abandoned his technique, flipping gracefully away. Amidst the chaos, Genjutsu's hands flashed through seals. His giant clan materialized with thunderous crash as the clown doppelganger coalesced from cooling vapors. Darkness absolute swallowed the battlefield. Demonic illusion, darkness Kanjutsu. Hashirama moved unerringly through blackness, grasping at a illusory mirage to seize the true Genjutsu. Kamien. This far sends now. The Shodai's palm glowed with sealing kanji. Wood style, tranquilizing palm technique. Genjutsu's head liquefied into bifurcating streams, evading the strike. What madness! The Mizukage scrambled back, hyperventilating. Spiritual possession. Hashirama explained tersely. Dispel your summons. As Genjutsu raised trembling hands for release seals, blinding light erupted above. Particle style, atomic dismantling jutsu. Mew hovered like wrathful deity, the glowing annihilation cube completing its formation. Chapter 62, Melee particle style, atomic dismantling jutsu. A luminous pillar streaked downward, bleaching Hashirama and the Mizukage behind him in blinding whiteness. Steam and smoke split like cleaved fabric as the beam vaporized everything in its path. Hashirama's right side abruptly sprouted a colossal tree. The woody explosion propelled him sideways while shielding Genjutsu. The light pillar pierced through the timber like hot knife through butter. A perfectly circular hole appeared in Genjutsu's chest, no blood, only wisps of vaporized water rising from the cavity. Bandage bastard. Genjutsu's veins bulged grotesquely. His hands abandoned release seals as the clown doppelganger launched skyward toward Mew. Schlick. The clone's arm morphed into gargantuan blade mid-flight. Though composed entirely of water and oil, its aerial agility rivaled Kage-level taijutsu specialists. Within Mew's consciousness, a kaleidoscopic mental seascape, Kamien's spirit sneered. Though Hashirama's darkness Kanjutsu blinded physical vision, Kamien perceived the battlefield through spiritual senses. He'd withdrawn from Genjutsu's mind moments before the Shodai's intervention, now puppeteering the Sushi Kage's psyche. Palm pressed against Mew's mental projection under Genjutsu hypnosis, Kamien operated like VR gamer controlling avatars. Though clumsy compared to full possession, this method allowed force technique activation through hypnotic commands. A stark contrast to Hikaku's complete soul suppression. That method granted bodily fluency but locked host-specific jutsu. Evade. Kamien whispered psychically. The Sushi Kage effortlessly dodged the blade strike midair, hands reconstructing the annihilation cube. 3 Anbu materialized below, fingers forming concentric circles. Mind-body switch technique. Triple spiritual energies invaded Mew's mind. Kamien's smirk widened as he pinpointed their physical locations. Instantly withdrawing from Mew, his spirit arrowed through the trio's foreheads. The mind-invading chakra shattered as all 3 operatives collapsed, blood oozing from facial orifices. Compared to soul possession jutsu, Yamanaka techniques resembled children's playthings, mundane divination versus cosmic prophecy. Mew blinked back to awareness, disoriented. He failed to notice the kunai arcing toward his position. Flip. Obirama materialized behind him in flying thunder god strike, grappling the Sushi Kage into plummeting descent. Brother, restrain the Mizukage. Hashirama was already weaving wood restraints when lightning-cloaked Raikage elbow smashed Obirama's kidneys, sending the Nadame crashing through rubble. Raikage. Kazekage Ritu stared in astonishment as his guard Bakura unfurled a scroll. With an explosive puff, 10 pale puppets levitated. Their blades gleaming. White secret technique, 10 puppets of Chikamatsu. Ritu turned urgently. Bakura, this isn't your battle. His words died as the puppets wheeled toward bystanders, scattering poison needles indiscriminately. Possessed. Ritu lunged to intercept, only to meet Raikage's lightning-wreathed fist. Elsewhere, Mew and Genjutsu's aerial duel escalated, particle beams clashed against superheated water cannons. Obirama, misreading Raikage's autonomy, teleported into close-quarters combat. Hashirama's wooden tendrils shattered puppets cautiously, power restrained to avoid collateral damage. Chaos reigned supreme. Soaring above the smoke, Kamie's spirit arrowed toward Uzumaki Temple. Old grudges die hard. He chuckled, withdrawing attention from Tobirama. Originally intending to possess the first Kazekage, he'd abandoned the plan upon sensing Ritu's formidable mental defenses. The existing pandemonium sufficed. His spiritual senses detected Hidden Leaf Village's barrier, a kilometer-wide dome centered on Hokage Tower. Clever, Tobirama. But not unprepared. 24 hours prior, Kamie's spirit and Nekoma Tabachi had infiltrated during Hidden Leaf Village's welcoming preparations. Drunken Hikaku investigating a kitten's meow. Finding Bachi's shimmering blue feline form holding a crystalline vial. Instant unconsciousness upon contact. Hikaku's mind crumbled before Kamie's tsunami-like psyche. Now, phasing through temple walls unseen, Kamie's spirit beelined toward his true objective, a swaddled infant with wispy newborn hair. Tsunade. His spirit possessed a maid. After testing the body's motor functions, Kamie approached the cradle. Chapter 63, Kidnapping Infant Tsunade Uzumaki Temple. Kamie silently walked to the cradle, examining the female infant in swaddling clothes. The chubby little Tsunade emitted a faint milky fragrance. Her skin was soft and delicate, her plump cheeks tender enough to burst, with beautiful golden fetal hair. Her large watery eyes, clear and bright, were currently sucking her tiny hand while curiously observing her surroundings. Little thing is quite cute. Kamie carefully extended his arms, lifting Tsunade with one hand supporting her small buttocks and the other cradling her head, gently holding her against his chest. Tsunade didn't cry or fuss. Instead, she slowly turned her head, staring at him unblinkingly with innocent eyes. She made an indistinct sound. Meeting her gaze, Kamie inexplicably felt guilty under her naive, guileless stare. Listen up, I just want to kill your second grandpa. This has nothing to do with you. You'll understand, right? Tsunade blinked her eyes, looking confused. Don't worry. As long as you behave, I won't harm a single hair on you. Kamie wiped non-existent sweat, whispering softly, I'm going to kidnap you now to lure out both your grandfathers. Cooperate, okay? No answer? Then I'll take that as agreement. Don't cry or make noise later. We'll leave the village quietly, no screaming, no tears. Kamie kept his tone gentle while coaxing her, quickly exiting the bedroom while carrying Tsunade. Yuki. Why are you carrying Lady Tsunade out? A matronly woman approached. Judging by her attire and demeanor, she was likely the head maid. She angrily scolded, don't you know how dangerous it is outside? Enemies are attacking the village. The Hokage is fighting desperately. Do you want to die and take the princess with you? Without hesitation, Kamie handed Tsunade over. The head maid froze. Before her brain could react, her hands automatically reached out to expertly receive the baby. Kamie's translucent spirit instantly flowed into the head maid's forehead, completing the possession swap. Huh? Why am I here? The original maid Yuki regained consciousness, eyes filled with confusion as all recent memories vanished. Yuki. Yes. Kamie, now in the head maid's body, sternly walked outward holding Tsunade. Why are you still standing there? Enemies are attacking. I just received orders, they're targeting Lady Tsunade and already know her location. They're coming here now. Ah. The maid panicked, covering her mouth. What should we do? What do you mean what should we do? Immediately return to your post. Pretend Lady Tsunade is still there. Act like nothing happened. I'll transfer the princess to safety now. Oh, right. The flustered maid turned to leave. Hurry up. This is Lord Tobirama's direct order. Honestly. Kamie grumbled while striding toward the temple exit. They encountered many low-status servants along the way. With Maito Uzumaki absent, currently playing hostess at the Hokage Tower to reassure guests, the head maid held highest authority here. Though many cast questioning looks, all retreated under Kamie's deliberately fierce glare. He quickly exited the temple and reached the streets. Seizing the momentary lack of observers, Kamie accelerated. Though not a formal ninja, the head maid's body contained chakra. Through Kamie's exquisite control, it temporarily achieved gain in level speed. Of course, this came at the cost of the host's physical endurance. Forcing untrained bodies to burst speed movement would cause muscle strains. This head maid would likely spend months in Hidden Leaf Village Hospital recovering. On the street, several chunin gaped at the skirt-fluttering maid leaping between rooftops like a butterfly, exchanging bewildered looks. Hey! Where are you rushing? The Hokage and Lord Tobirama are handling the enemies. A tactless ninja gave chase. Kamien muttered troublesome and abruptly stopped. The sudden jolt made baby Tsunade in his arms blink dazedly before wailing loudly. The clear crying immediately drew the pursuing Jonin's attention. "You're carrying a child?" The Jonin approached. Upon seeing the infant, his eyes widened. "That's Lady Tsunade." Kamien instantly abandoned the headmaid's body. His spirit flashed into the Jonin's forehead. Swiftly catching the falling Tsunade, he simultaneously chopped the headmaid's neck, knocking her unconscious. What? Tsunade cried harder. The bin-sized infant clutched tiny fists to her chest, mouth wide open, unleashing ear-piercing sound waves at Kamien. "Good girl, big brother will show you kitty later." Kamien distractedly placated her while sprinting toward a specific location. Now using the Jonin host, his speed qualitatively improved, scaling walls and vaulting rooftops, he soon reached the destination. Kagami Uchiha stared dumbly at the unfamiliar ninja landing on Hokage Rock, particularly the wailing infant in his arms. "That's Lady Tsunade." Recognizing the baby, he looked shocked. "Shouldn't she be at Uzumaki Temple?" "No time to explain," Kamien said gravely, mentally adding, "My soul perception isn't for show." He thrust Tsunade toward Kagami, who instinctively reached to receive her. At that moment, Kamien's spirit shot from the Jonin's forehead into his younger brother's consciousness. Within the psychedelic mental landscape, Kagami looked up trembling. "Kamien. Call me elder brother." Kamien curled his lip. Colossal spiritual energy erupted, making the entire mental world quake. Facing this tsunami-like pressure, Kagami's soul resembled a lone boat in stormy seas, precarious and vulnerable. After 6 years of cultivation, Kamien's soul had reached monstrous strength, the result of Uchiha spiritual power interacting with reanimation jutsu. Even some Kage-level opponents couldn't compare, let alone this half-baked younger brother. Without ceremony, Kamien raised his palm. Since Kagami was crucial to his plans, he couldn't be bothered with familial niceties. Bright light erupted from his palm. The instant hypnosis hit, completely controlling Kagami's soul. Within the host's mental realm, his Ganjutsu was unavoidable. "Catch that infant gently," he commanded. In reality, everything happened in moments. Kagami mechanically extended steady arms to receive the swaddled baby. "Surprising you learned Flying Thunder God. Saves me trouble." Within the mental world, Kamien pressed his palm against Kagami's head. "Activate Flying Thunder God. Take that infant to the farthest point from Hidden Leaf Village." Kagami became a puppet, obeying unconditionally. As night breeze stirred, his figure vanished, Hidden Leaf Village's village-encompassing barrier utterly useless against him. Chapter 64, Hashirama's Wrath. Thousands of miles away, outside a prosperous town in the land of hot springs. The evening breeze carried a slight chill, soothing and tranquil. Leaves rustled softly as moonlight spilled onto the bluestone path, painting a scene of serene peace. The air shimmered faintly, and a figure materialized silently beside the bluestone. "Wah!" The piercing cries of an infant shattered the quiet as Kamien, controlling Kagami's body, instinctively scanned his surroundings while holding the wailing Tsunade. According to Kagami's memories, this was the farthest location he'd reached on missions. He'd once enjoyed hot springs here with teammates, even leaving a Flying Thunder God mark on the bluestone for quick returns when exhausted. Kid knows how to live. Kamien's spirit muttered within Kagami's consciousness, tinged with envy, as the original soul lay discarded nearby. His original plan involved using reverse summoning via a ninja cat bribed by Baki to transport Kagami Uchiha to the cat room. Unexpectedly, this younger brother hadn't been idle during these 6 years, having mastered the Flying Thunder God technique, a fortunate shortcut. Still, need to secure this little package quickly. Hidden Leaf Village must be reacting by now. Earlier, he'd immediately exploited Genjutsu Hazuki to summon the giant clam's illusions, not for combat, but to cover his tracks. Within the Mirage's hallucinatory realm, neither insiders nor outsiders could perceive reality, only maintaining the illusion of normalcy. This precise manipulation allowed Kamien's kidnapping operation to proceed flawlessly. Entering the town, the rural nightlife proved subdued. Only a raucous gambling den remained illuminated. The moment the handsome youth carrying a screaming infant stepped inside, odd glances flocked toward them. But in a gambling hall, everyone soon refocused on their bets and card games, the attention evaporating like smoke. Kamien boldly rented a room and descended to the second floor. Locking the bedroom door, he placed little Tsunade on the bed. The thin walls allowed faint gambling cheers to filter through. Oddly, these noises gradually quieted the infant's cries. She wriggled, tiny hands escaping the swaddle. Her darting eyes seemed to observe and listen. She waved plump arms, a sweet smile blooming on her chubby face. "Happy now? Good. Seems you're cooperating too. Thanks, I'll kill your great-uncle for this." Kamien paid her no further mind, Relieved she'd stopped crying. Retrieving a smooth glass vial from his robes, thumbnail-sized, containing shimmering crimson blood, he crushed it decisively. Using the bloodied palm, he formed hand seals and slammed it on the floor. Boar dog rooster monkey ram summoning jutsu. Amidst dispersing white smoke and blue mist, Baki emerged with feline grace. Guard the brat. Eliminate any disturbances. Kamien ordered. Baki nodded. Money talks, no problems. Leaping onto the bed, its bronze eyes studied Kagami's face. You brothers look alike, though the eyes differ. Obviously. Don't you resemble your siblings? Kamien retorted. Baki's chilling chuckle echoed. Wish I knew. Mother birthed us in flight, died soon after. All I remember is the garbage dump. How I ate them all to survive. It licked its paw. Fraternal slaughter, my oldest companion. Then live fiercely enough for all of them. Kamien stated flatly. The cat paused, feline features flashing surprise as it peered into Kamien's soul. Finally, it smirked. You're different. Is this why you contracted me? Don't flatter yourself. You're just affordable. After reiterating instructions, Kamien immediately activated Flying Thunder God. Space warped, and within moments, he materialized atop the Hokage monument. You bastard. Did you do this on purpose? Before the Uzumaki shrine, Tobirama gripped Genjutsu's collar, face twitching. How should I know? I was possessed. The Genjutsu wasn't mine. Genjutsu retracted sleeves, feigning innocence. Besides, we're all Kage here. How could a giant clam's illusions fool you? The second Sushi Kage sneered. When you chased me with water gun blasts, was that possession too? You're Kamien's accomplice. This was all staged to steal Hidden Leaf Village's princess. Damn you bandage-wrapped freak. Don't slander me. Genjutsu spat. Why would I risk attacking Hidden Leaf Village? What use is their princess? You're framing me to eliminate rivals. His eyes suddenly gleamed slyly. Wait, your sensory skills are strongest here. You should have seen through Mirage Pavilion. You're the traitor. Enough. Hashirama's guttural roar froze the combatants. His shadow-engulfed eyes radiated glacial fury. Under overwhelming chakra pressure, even Genjutsu collapsed weakly. The assembled Kage exchanged uneasy glances, each bearing bruises. Moments earlier, Hashirama had single-handedly subdued the rampaging Kage, only to return and find his granddaughter stolen. Whatever his goal, harming a child is unforgivable. Hashirama's clenched fists trembled with contained wrath. Tobirama interjected. I've erected barriers. A spirit can't reverse summon without external help. He's still here, hiding. He barked orders. Mobilize all villagers to the Hokage Tower for inspection. Deploy Sensor Ninja and Hyuga to sweep every corner. Find Tsunade. A sudden swish announced Kagami Uchiha's arrival before the group. Chapter 65, I've changed my mind. Kagami? Tobirama stared at his disciple, fleeting suspicion flashing in his eyes. Looking for me? Kagami Uchiha spread his arms mockingly. No need to search, here I stand. Instant recognition swept through the crowd. Humiliation burned as they realized they'd been played. Earth style, stone servant hand. The second Sushi Kage's hands flew. A colossal stone fist erupted, slamming toward Kamien. Unflinching, Kamien stood rooted. Hashirama's foot twisted, summoning thick vines that wove into a wooden shield. Boom. The earthen fist collided harmlessly with the barrier. Breeze tousled Kamien's hair as he stared impassively. Where's Tsunade? Hashirama growled. What Tsunade? Kamien feigned ignorance. Weren't you seeking me? Enough games. Hashirama stepped forward. She's just a baby. Our feud doesn't concern her. Where is she? Truly don't follow. Kamien shrugged. Merely caused chaos. Losing your brat isn't my fault, Kamien Uchiha. Tobirama barked. Don't think your spiritual form makes you invincible. I have a dozen ways to destroy you. We spare you only for information. Ah, even you can rage, old fox. Kamien threw back his head laughing maniacally. Ha ha ha. To see you so unraveled. Mad laughter echoed through tense silence. Gradually subsiding, Kamien caught his breath. True, I hid her outside Hidden Leaf Village. Tear the village apart, you'll never find her. Unless. He paused theatrically. Unless what? Hashirama demanded. Brother. He toys with us. Tobirama's killing intent spiked. Let me extract his soul for answers. Hashirama blocked him. Let him speak. Simple. Kamien raised one finger. The Kage flinched back warily, all except Hashirama, still traumatized by his earlier possession display. Slowly, he pointed at Hashirama. Lord first. Between brother and granddaughter. Who matters more? Tomb-like silence fell. Hashirama's shadowed face radiates suffocating pressure. Kamiyane continued airily. 3 choices. 1. Kill yourself now. 2. Slay your brother. 3. He gestured at the Kage. Pick any of these to murder. Complete any, and I return your precious Tsunade unharmed. Hashirama stood statue still. Obirama silently raised a finger seal. Behind them, the Kage reacted variously. The Kaze Kage grimaced, Rai Kage gulped, Sushi Kage retreated slightly. Genjutsu's eyes darted nervously between Hashirama and Kamiyane. Absurd. Obirama snapped. Brother, you can't seriously consider. Hashirama interrupted. Is this my test? Kamiyane tilted his head, waiting. Options 1 2 force me to sacrifice Hidden Leaf Village's foundations or future. Option 3 destroys peace itself. Hashirama declared firmly. Even if it costs Tsunade. I won't shatter this hard-won peace. So you'll persist. Kamiyane locked eyes with him. Even as loved ones die for your peace? But wasn't the village meant to protect them? As Madara-sama said. You've inverted purpose. Enough. Obirama strode forward. Give me 5 minutes to extract that spirit. Wait. Hashirama drew a kunai. Heavy sigh. Perhaps this is fate. The curse binding me since killing Madara. He reversed the blade toward his heart. Our era fades. New saplings must grow. Remember, when crisis comes, only burning old wood nourishes new trees. He gazed skyward. May Hidden Leaf Village's fire endure. Clap. 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 All turned to Kamiyane, baffled. Worthy of God of Shinobi. Worthy of Madara's respect. Kamiyane smiled faintly. I've changed my mind. Come alone with me, and I'll reveal Tsunade's location. Why? Hashirama blinked. To witness your burning flame before it extinguishes. Agreed. Hashirama stepped forward unguarded. Brother. Don't. Obirama warned. He's treacherous. Ha. None surpass your cunning, Lord Second. Kamiyane's gaze turned dangerous. Anyone else follows. Becomes my enemy. His vicious grin left no doubt, this was no bluff. Chapter 66, If only I'd understood sooner. Hashirama agreed to Kamiyane's demand, stepping calmly to his side. A warning. Kamiyane's gaze swept over Obirama and the assembled Kage. My sensory abilities rival yours. Attack me recklessly, and your precious granddaughter pays the price. His eyes lingered on Obirama. If any fools try to follow us, I promise your villages will burn brighter than Hidden Leaf Village tonight. Damn brat. Obirama's jaw clenched, eyes blazing with murderous intent. With a hand on Hashirama's shoulder, Kamiyane activated the Flying Thunder God technique, vanishing instantly. Send word to the cat's den. Have the Uchiha lead a team there. Now. Obirama barked at his Anbu, faced stormy. After steadying his rage, he turned to the remaining Kage. Care to join me in confronting this best's true form? Genjutsu scratched his neck awkwardly. We're here for a celebration. With the guest of honor gone, this party's over. He met Obirama's glare unflinching. That lunatic vowed retaliation. I'm not suicidal enough to chase him. Agreed. The second Sushi Kage grunted. We came to toast, not feud. Redo stroked his beard. Sand has no quarrel with that madman. The Raikage crossed his arms. This is Hidden Leaf Village's mess. Cloud stays neutral. You. Obirama seethed. He's Madara's heir. Do you think he'll spare your nations once Hidden Leaf Village falls? Genjutsu turned toward the gates. Mist suddenly has urgent business. Farewell. Like dominoes, the Kage departed. Leaving Obirama alone before the Uzumaki shrine, fists trembling. Land of waterfalls, northern coast. Through successive teleportations, Kamiyane and Hashirama arrived at a windswept shore. The Flying Thunder God technique. Impressive. Kamiyane's spirit mused within Kagami's mindscape. He'd tried prying the secret from the Uchiha's soul earlier, only to find Obirama's encryption blocking all critical intel. Even his attempts to steal steam release, particle style, and lightning armor from other Kage had failed. Proof of this era's strict intellectual property safeguards. Is your true body here? Hashirama scanned the coast. Kamiyane smirked. His spirit withdrew from Kagami's forehead, leaving the Uchiha crumpling limply. Hashirama caught him, settling the dazed youth on a rock. Lord Hashirama. Kagami blinked weakly. Rest. Then leave. Hashirama ordered. Memories flooded Kagami. Kamiyane's possession, the kidnapping, the taunts. He used my face. My body. To do such unforgivable things. Kagami trembled, Sharingan flaring involuntarily. Tears streaked his cheeks. I'm sorry. If only I'd resisted. If I'd known him better. Suddenly, he grabbed Hashirama's sleeve. The princess. She's in a coastal gambling den in Hot Springs Country. We can save her. Hashirama gazed at the churning sea. Retrieve her. That's your mission now. And you, my lord? My battle lies here. The ocean roared. A vortex erupted, spawning a kilometer-high waterspout. Amid the maelstrom, a figure emerged. Kamiyane, walking on air as water coalesced into steps beneath him. Raindrops slid down his porcelain features. His crimson eyes glowed like bloody moons, devoid of mercy. Hashirama stood firm against the typhoon, robes whipping violently. Two legends locked gazes across the storm. One a leaf in the tempest, the other its architect. Chapter 67, The Pure Destroyer. Two figures faced each other across turbulent waves. Finally we meet, Kamiyane Uchiha. Hashirama's gaze held measured scrutiny. You were Madara's most cherished disciple? Lord First forgets so easily? Kamiyane's smile held winter chill. We met 11 years past. Hashirama sighed. The boy I saw then and the man before me. Worlds apart. Why inherit Madara's will when living in this peace? Your peace. Kamiyane countered smoothly. And you've changed too, have you not? My duty to protect remains constant. Your peace? Kamiyane's laugh cracked like ice. A gilded cage built upon your martial supremacy. Tell me. His hand drifted to sword hilt. Does that power still hold? Shing. Frost-kissed steel gleamed as Shimatsuki no Ishin partially unsheathed. Cyan light bathed the coast, blade's breath frosting Kamiyane's wrist. I don't wish to kill you. Hashirama's voice deepened. Implying you still can? Kamiyane's expression froze. Hashirama shuddered, the cadence, the defiance, uncannily familiar. You mirror him too closely. Naturally. I am his heir. Kamiyane. Hashirama's plea carried across waves. Why walk Madara's path? This madness can still be too late. Kamiyane's shadowed gaze fell. Unless you return my brother. I'm here. Kagami staggered forward, tears streaking Sharingan red. Brother. What more do you want? Kamiyane's glance held glacial pity. I want the boy untouched by Hidden Leaf Village as brainwashing. The brother who didn't parrot the village above all. So you'll follow Madara's footsteps. To the letter. Kamiyane raised his blade, edge singing. Fail to kill me today, and I'll raise Hidden Leaf Village's clans, Hyuga, Saratobi, Uchiha, Senshu, all reduced to ash. Madara-sama built peace. I, Kamiyane Uchiha. The sword fully cleared its sheath with crystalline ring. Am destruction incarnate. He struck his chest plate, challenge booming across waters. Now. As you struck down Madara-sama. Strike me down. So be it. Hashirama's eyes hardened into jade daggers. Do you think Madara would mourn you? Shwoom. Kamiyane moved first. Shimatsuki no Ishin carved celestial arc through night, jade light splitting sea asunder. Kagami stumbled back from the killing intent, only to find Hashirama's broad back shielding him. Wood style, tree wall. Hashirama's seal-clasped hands summoned gargantuan temper barrier. 5-meter thick rampart erupted skyward. Crack. The hair-thin blade slashed bit deep into wood grain, showering splinters before dissipating. Kamiyane frowned, Sharingan morphing, Tomoe spinning, connecting, blossoming into intricate mandala. Kagami, leave. Hashirama never turned from the blooming Mangekyo. Your mission remains. But Lord Hokage. Go. This battle transcends your reach. The Uchiha hesitated, then pressed a flying thunder god seal into wet stone. Spare him. If you can. Hashirama turned sharply. You know he killed Saratobi's father. Slaughtered Sasuke. I. Kagami swayed, resolve crystallizing through tears. My life for his. This tragedy is my failure. Studying the youth's haggard determination, Hashirama's shoulders slumped. I'll try. Right. Kagami nodded solemnly before vanishing in a flicker of space-time. At last. I can cut loose. Kamiyane's lips curled. Swish swish swish. His blade became a meteor shower. 100 cyan slashes tore through the air, their keening vibrations shredding the atmosphere. Hashirama remained rooted, hands dancing like a conductor summoning symphonic timbre. Colossal roots erupted rhythmically, swallowing sword energy like quicksand devouring stones. Crack. Snap. Splintered branches rained down, yet not a single strike breached the wood god's defense. Within moments, the coastline transformed into a kilometer-wide primordial forest. Kamiyane crouched midair, water platforms crystallizing beneath his boots. With a hydraulic boom, he launched himself sword first into the green labyrinth. Crash. The forest exploded in his wake, a tsunami of splinters marking his path. The cyan comet plowed through ancient trunks before embedding itself in distant cliffs. Dust settled to reveal Kamien's blade tip hovering centimeters from Hashirama's lips, caught between the first's prayer-pressed palms. Predictable. Kamien twisted his hilt. Zing. A blade beam erupted. Hashirama slapped the flat sideways, diverting the killing light that bisected a mountain behind him. Seizing the opening, the Senju spun forward, fist blazing with chakra flames that howled like typhoons. Boom. Obsidian ribs materialized around Kamien, Suzunu's skeletal embrace. For a heartbeat, the fist hesitated. Then shattered the spectral armor like glass. Crunch. The punch connected. Shockwaves atomized the ground beneath them, seawater recoiling from the blast radius. Yet Kamien stood unyielding, fingers vice-locking Hashirama's wrist. "Is this your famed monstrous strength?" he sneered, eyes glinting crimson madness. Pathetic. Hips pivoting, shoulders dropping, Kamien unleashed primordial fury. Hashirama sailed through the air like a comet, crashing through 3 stone pillars before regaining footing. Shing shing shing. 12 follow-up slashes chased the wood god, each trailing black flames that set the very air ablaze. Suzunu's skeletal arm materialized, scything downward with Amaterasu-cloaked fury. Kaboom. The sea itself parted under the onslaught. Hashirama vanished beneath cataclysmic waves as fire and brine collided in steam explosions that blotted out the moon. Chapter 68, Kamien vs. Hashirama. The sea turned violently as Kamien watched Hashirama sink beneath the waves from his slash. Using a water barrier as a foothold, he shot into the ocean like an arrow, slicing through the depths with a sharp whoosh. Wood style, wood dragon technique. Boom. Kamien was hurled back out of the water, flung skyward at blinding speed. A colossal wooden dragon erupted from the sea, its scaled body coiling across the surface. Standing atop the dragon's head, Hashirama clasped his hands in a prayer-like stance, his posture low and focused. Wood style, chaos dragon technique. The dragon roared, its head swelling grotesquely before splitting into 5 identical clones with a cacophony of cracking wood. At Hashirama's command, the dragons spiraled upward, their amber eyes blazing like golden beacons as they streaked toward Kamien. "Come on, just like this." Kamien spread his limbs midair, cheeks flushed with exhilaration. His Mangekyo Sharingan whirled, capturing every detail of the dragon's trajectories. The intricate patterns in his left eye glowed faintly, as if etching the scene into his mind. He slashed a dozen times in rapid succession, emerald sword darks crisscrossing the air. Though the strikes carved foot-deep gashes into the wooden beasts, the dragons charged onward undeterred. So that's how it is. Understanding flashed in his eyes. Through the slowed vision of his Sharingan, he watched the green dissipate within the dragon's fissures, their chakra absorbing the energy like water seeping into parched earth. The 5 dragons collided with thunderous force. Precisely as Kamien's momentum stalled, leaving him vulnerable in free fall. Yet he suddenly blurred sideways, defying gravity as ripples bloomed beneath his feet with each phantom step. Darting past the dragons, he plunged toward Hashirama like a meteor. A flying sword shot ahead as Kamien descended. Hashirama leaned aside, narrowly avoiding Frostfall's dazzling azure edge as it embedded itself in the distant shore, quivering. Kamien landed heavily on the dragon's head, reigniting their close-quarters clash. Boom. 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 Their blows resonated like muffled thunder. Fist against fist, palm against palm. Each collision unleashing shockwaves that cracked the dragon's head. Hashirama stood rooted, his limbs wreathed in blue chakra flames. The pinnacle of monstrous strength. Kamien fought with brutal simplicity, his boxing style raw and direct. When Hashirama's superhuman punch shot toward his chest, he effortlessly deflected the wrist before countering with a savage monkey's strike. Hashirama's eyes narrowed. The move's ferocity reminded him painfully of a familiar foe. With no time to block, he kicked explosively at Kamien's abdomen, chakra flaring to force a retreat. Yet Kamien ignored the gambit, his palm strike breaking the sound barrier to slam into Hashirama's collarbone. Crack. The bone shattered as Hashirama was catapulted backward like storm-tossed debris, smashing through 3 dragon clones before plunging into the sea in a towering geyser. Kamien, having absorbed the full force of the kick, merely staggered 2 steps before steadying himself on the crumbling dragon's head. His sea god's body rendered Hashirama's earth-shattering strength meaningless. Even the penetrating force that could pierce Suzuno and water shields dissolved harmlessly before reaching his organs. Through the howling wind came Hashirama's rumbling voice, wood style, advent of the forest. A green hue blossomed across the sea's surface, rapidly spreading into a primordial forest that clawed its way from the depths. Within moments, a kilometer-wide arboreal island erupted from the waves, Hashirama perched atop its tallest tree. His shattered collarbone already regenerated within 3 breaths. "Now we're talking, Hashirama-sama." Kamien descended alongside collapsing wooden dragons, fingertips grazing his left eye. "Burn brighter while you still can." The first Hokage's gaze sharpened. You're unlike any foe I've faced. This power. Madara. Is this your legacy? Kamien's hands blurred through seals. Between his palms, black flames coalesced into a shimmering bow. Blaze style, Amaterasu arrow. Whoosh. The arrow vanished mid-flight. Don't let those flames touch wood. Hashirama slammed his palms. The forest roared to life, colossal timber hands erupting skyward. Wood style, all-encompassing sealing technique. The arrow struck the wooden palm center. Instead of piercing through, intricate sealing arrays flared across the bark. Amaterasu's flames unraveled into black mist, absorbed by glowing kanji. Kamien struck the forest highland like a meteor, tremors rippling through the woodscape. Air shattered as he broke the sound barrier. A milky white cone blooming behind him. Hashirama mirrored the feat, their supersonic collision detonating a kilometer-wide shockwave. Boom. Blue chakra flames wreathed Hashirama's limbs, each strike capable of pulverizing mountains. Kamien fought like a primordial deity. His leviathan's corpus ringing with metallic thuds as blows landed. Though the Senju's strikes penetrated water barriers and Susanoo alike, they dissipated harmlessly against his godly flesh. Conversely, Kamien's raw, technique-devoid punches tore through Hashirama's muscles and organs. Only to watch them regenerate instantly. The battle became a paradox. Two indestructible forces locked in eternal stalemate. Constitution, Sea God's body, blade immunity, superhuman strength, 60 Mach swimming speed, 30 Mach movement speed, body respiration, ultra-long vision, hydrokinesis, chakra hyperwave detection, magnetic field perception, senses cosmic magnetic fields within a range, detects spatial charged particles, includes long-range sensing, telepathy, and spatial awareness, talents, precision chakra control, effortlessly mimics water flow, compresses chakra density into solid forms, exceptional neural reflexes and coordination, reacted to Flying Thunder God at age 7, slowed reflexes during Valley of the End battle with Tobirama due to Makoura's adaptation, KK Genkai, Mangekyo Sharingan, dynamic vision, taijutsu replication, ganjutsu hypnosis, Inton, Kagatsushi's arrow, flame enchanted blades, blazing thunder god, dujutsu, Makoura Amano Tokatachi Susanoo, stage 2, Tatsuka blade and Yida mirror, Izanagi secret techniques, Lifondu, Cyan sword energy, forbidden jutsu, spirit transformation technique, instant teleportation. Illusion domain, soul search, soul suppression, soul erasure, ninjutsu, fire style mastery teleportation jutsu mastery water clone technique proficiency in all 5 elemental releases taijutsu, Uchiha style sword dart taijutsu inherited from Madara 8 gates, 6th gate, gate of view, ganjutsu, puppet master jutsu pillar shackles phantom flame chapter 69, humanoid tyrannosaur on the island in the sea, 2 figures collided violently, their fists and palms clashing like thunder. 5th gate, gate of limit. Open. Kamien's hair whipped wildly as he roared, his voice erupting shockwaves that blasted layers of seawater into the air. His body rocketed upward, trailing blazing flames through the atmosphere. Midair, he lunged forward and unleashed a flying kick, his body burning crimson from friction as he plummeted toward Hashirama like a meteor. Screech. The air screamed, echoing across the heavens. Scarlet flames faintly outlined blazing wings as a sonic boom rippled outward, sketching the silhouette of a colossal firebird. Chomai. The inferno illuminated Hashirama's tense face. His eyes narrowed with unprecedented focus as he slammed his palms together. Wood style, shield of heroes. The forest beneath him writhed like water. 6 colossal shields, dark as ironwood, rose like armor, encasing Hashirama layer by layer in an impenetrable shell. Kamien, transformed into the blazing Chomai, tore through the air and crashed into the shields. Boom. The shields shattered instantly. The island sank slightly as seawater surged inward. Wildfire and shockwaves devoured everything within a kilometer. Hurricane winds and steam erupted. The kick shattered the island, scattering debris across the roiling sea. Amid the chaos, both figures shot from the waves and smashed into a coastal cliff. Kamien's veins bulged across his crimson body. Violent green steam erupted from his pores, shrouding him like a masked Unna. He seized Hashirama's face and slammed him into the stone wall, grinding him through the rock until the cliffside exploded. With a spin, Kamien hurled Hashirama away, then conjured chakra blades to slash 2 massive strikes, burying him deep into the mountain. Clack clack. Hashirama's body split into 4 wooden fragments, clattering to the ground as lifelike carvings. Kamien turned silently, spotting a figure rising from the sea. In a flash, he collided with it. Hashirama's expression darkened. He hadn't expected Kamien's raw power. Even the 5th gate alone had obliterated his shield of heroes, a defense that once withstood tailed beast bombs from armored Susanoo. Kamien's attacks were lightning incarnate. Hashirama struggled to counter. The Mangekyo's dynamic vision, godlike speed, and overwhelming force merged into one reality, a taijutsu apex. A humanoid calamity. Every punch and kick ignited the air. Each strike threatened to pulverize Hashirama's organs, his sage body barely healing fast enough to survive. Wood style. Hashirama's hands froze mid-seal as Kamiane pried them apart and kneed him into the earth. I'm done with formalities. Debris flew. To Kamiane, even solid bedrock felt as malleable as water. Wood style, exploding spear trees. Blood trickled from Hashirama's teeth as colossal wooden tendrils erupted from his back. A titanic tree surged upward, flinging Kamiane skyward. Kamiane twisted midair, ripples swirling behind him as he dove back down. Only to face hundreds of Hashirama's wood clones. This became a massacre. In his fifth gate state, even Hashirama's true self was outmatched. Clones stood no chance. Fists blazing, Kamiane tore through them. Lifondu, Yojo Notso, slashed waves of clones to splinters. He became a human wrecking ball, crushing everything in his path. Enten, blazing thunder god. Kamiane spread his hands. Black flames erupted beneath him, spearing hundreds of clones with fiery lenses. Within breaths, all clones were ash. SKRRT. Kamiane slid atop the last wooden fragment, stopping beside a sheathed katana. Behind him, Hashirama's voice boomed, wood style, wood golem jutsu roots churned. A gargantuan wooden titan. Fanged, draconic, and towering at 200 meters. Rose with Hashirama atop its head. Kamiane ignored it. He leisurely drew Frostfall's resolve before turning. Night draped the raging sea. His pants flapped wildly as he faced the titan and the god of shinobi. No words. He lunged like an arrow, his Mangekyo's crimson light streaking through the dark. The wooden titan punched with divine fury, its fist colliding with Kamiane's air-rending slash. Kamiane pushed his speed to the limit. After images surrounded the titan as countless strikes rained on its head. The battlefield became a meat grinder. The titan's punches cratered the earth, while Kamiane's slashes cleaved cliffs like paper. Boom. 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 Even the shockwaves could cripple Kage-level fighters. Suddenly, black energy roared. A skeletal Susanoo materialized, cloaked in swirling ink dark chakra. Kamiane's eyes bled as he forced it to third stage. The stout crow demon Susanoo paled against the titan. Until it summoned a spear, Totsuka blade and Yato mirror fused into a single weapon. Divine spear, Totsuka no Morakamo. Kamiane leaped from the Susanoo, flanking the titan with his avatar. The spear swept low, smashing the titan's knee. Seizing the moment, Kamiane fired Kagutsuchi's arrow. Grazing Hashirama's cheek. Hashirama's eyes flashed. The titan twisted, its mountain-crushing fist slamming into the Susanoo's defensive stance. Crack. The earth shattered. Kamiane stood unfazed in the storm, but frowned. Though Totsuka no Morakamo remained pristine, his Susanoo's arms now spiderwebbed with cracks. Chapter 70, Golden Armament. Kamiane manipulated the third stage Susanoo to restrain the wood human's assault while probing for openings to strike Hashirama directly. The colossal wooden construct raged like wildfire, its titanic fists hammering the obsidian Susanoo backward. The Crotengu armor cracked and splintered under the barrage, yet clung together through sheer divine weapon resilience. Whenever evasion proved impossible, Kamiane lashed out with surgical precision. A fleeting sword gleam diverted Hashirama's attention, buying his Susanoo precious milliseconds to regroup. Blood streamed steadily from Kamiane's left eye, crimson trails now crusting half his face as the battle dragged on. Maekaura's adaptation protocols hummed ceaselessly in the background. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two gargantuan sword slashes shattered harmlessly against the wood human's palms. Seizing the momentum, Hashirama hammered Kamiane into a mountainside with a thunderous punch. As the impact cratered the stone, Kamiane's Mangekyo pattern completed its final rotation midair. Wood-style adaptation. Complete. A triumphant grin flashed across Kamiane's bloodied face moments before he tore through the cliffside, carving a 100-meter trench into the earth. He sprang up instantly, analyzing the metamorphosis. Wood-style assassins coalesced from three chakra natures, water's fluidity, earth's solidity, and crucially, yang's vitality. Hashirama's sage body and monstrous chakra reserves fused these elements into living cataclysms. This revelation explained why Yamato's diluted wood style paled in comparison, lacking both chakra magnitude and the primal life force saturating every Hashirama cell. Even when Yamato's Hashirama cells interacted with white Zetsu biomass, the resulting wood style remained a flickering candle against the first Hokage's inferno. Every Hashirama technique siphoned enemy chakra mid-combat, mirroring the mythical god tree's predatory efficiency, the very reason Kamiane's leaf on autumn duel neutered throughout this duel. Maekaura's solution unfolded with crystalline clarity, refined chakra control to subatomic precision. Restructure particles using metallic lattice configurations. Compress and reconstitute, birth metal release through alchemical transmutation. Wood's pliable growth met metal's unforgiving edge. In the 5 elements cycle, only slaughter forged metal could suppress tenacious wood. Kamien's hand snapped upward. Leaf on Autumn Dew materialized as a jade-green blade, now vibrating with transformative energy. Golden convergence, reforge. The katana shrank to fingernail dimensions under his restructured chakra. To Kamien's hyperacute vision, its internals now gleamed with metallic density, molecular bonds tightened 1,000-fold, flowing chakra frozen into crystalline lattices. The earth quaked as Hashirama's wood-human throttled the battered Susanoo toward oblivion. Kamien's right eye spiraled, teleportation jutsu, teleporting him back into the fray. He channeled chakra into the microblade. It devoured energy like a singularity, Kamien's reserves plummeting as metal-cold lethality coalesced in his palm. In a single heartbeat, the blade swelled back to full size, its jade-green surface now gleaming with crystalline ferocity. Leaf on Autumn Dew, golden severance. Kamien slashed horizontally. A dark cyan arc cleaved the air. Silent, surgical, absolute. Shink. Hashirama whirled just as the wood-human's forearm slid cleanly off its elbow, the cross-section mirror smooth. What sorcery is this? Reacting instinctively, Hashirama formed hand signs. The wood dragon erupted from the earth, coiling toward Kamien while the maimed wood-human leapt skyward, intent on crushing the Susanoo beneath its gargantuan heel. Kamien raised his blade vertically. Another flicker of cyan light. The charging wood dragon froze mid-lunge. A sea breeze whispered through. And the beast split down its spine, crashing to the sand in 2 smoldering halves. Simultaneously, Kamien's right eye rotated like clockwork gears. The battered Susanoo blinked out of existence, rematerializing behind the descending wood-human with its obsidian spear leveled at Hashirama's back. Amano Tokatachi, reversion. The golden severance blade dissolved into motes of light. Despite its lethal edge, the technique devoured chakra voraciously. 2 strikes drained him dry. Maintaining this state risked total collapse. Crack boom. The Susanoo's spear launched with a sound barrier shattering bang, its surimi gold tip piercing the wood-human skull. Hashirama's right arm exploded into branching timber at the last millisecond. Wood style, surging wood gun. Propelling him clear of the killing thrust. Not quite. Kamien grinned as flaming wings erupted from his back. Chomai's spectral screech split the night. Kira WW. He drop-kicked the protruding spear shaft. The weapon detonated through the wood-human's cranium in a shower of splinters, its titanic frame swaying drunkenly. Gravity well, 50-fold. Kamien formed a tiger seal. The embedded spear flared with sealing arrays, crushing Hashirama against the wood-human's crown under apocalyptic weight. Crunch. The construct's knees powdered. Hashirama's spine creaked audibly as he fought to lift his head, veins bulging like overfilled rivers. This isn't in the scrolls. Break range. Reset gravity. Hashirama's sage-enhanced mind raced even as his ribs threatened to implode. Closing bloodshot eyes, he inhaled. Whoosh. Nature energy tsunamied into his pores. Sage markings crawled across his face like living vines before his eyelids snapped open, pupils blazing solar gold. Sage mode, unbound. The very air curdled under primordial pressure. Chapter 71, Does he have no limits? Ra. Hashirama's roar shook the battlefield as Sage mode transformed his body. Enhanced by Senjutsu Chakra, his physicality now transcended mortal limits. His aura exploded outward, actually allowing him to slowly rise against the 50x gravity. In the next instant, air rippled as Kamien materialized behind him like a specter, blade melting into the wind as it slashed at Hashirama's neck. Shink. Hashirama twisted aside. The metallic-hued sword energy flashed past, shearing off half the wood-human's head in a smooth cut. Boom. Pivoting on his left foot, Hashirama followed through with a spinning back kick that smashed into Kamien's chest. The terrifying impact sent Kamien flying through 3 consecutive mountains at supersonic speed. Gritting his teeth, Hashirama gripped the embedded Totsuka blade with both hands. Emerald chakra flames erupted across his body as he roared. Crunch. His feet sank into the wood-human skull. With Herculean effort, he actually lifted the colossal spear and hurled it far beyond the battlefield. Hands forming seals, the half-headed wood-human reactivated. Its remaining fist smashed down, pulverizing the reforming Susanoo into black fragments. Hashirama panted heavily. While Sage Mode multiplied his physical capabilities exponentially, the toll on his lifespan was catastrophic. Years of remaining life burning away like kindling. Even so, his eyes hardened, recalling Kamien's deranged pre-battle expression. I'll use these fading embers to light tomorrow's dawn. Sage art, wood style, advent of the flower tree world. The earth ruptured. Countless massive roots erupted, surging across 6 kilometers like wooden tsunamis. Before Kamiyane could escape the mountain debris, endless vines swallowed him whole. Giant flowers bloomed amidst the forest, spewing golden pollen that spread across the coastline on sea winds. This sage-enhanced version's toxicity could knock out tailed beasts within 3 breaths. A dark cyan streak suddenly tore through the pollen clouds. Kamiyane stood atop a tree crown, taking an exaggerated drag of the toxic haze. He exhaled a yellow smoke ring, cheeks flushed. So this is the famous flower tree world? Impressive kick. Hashirama stared dumbfounded. What absurd constitution is this? Where did Madara dig up this monstrosity? Unbeknownst to him, Kamiyane's cells could selectively filter gases through membrane control, absorbing only oxygen whether breathing through nose or pores. Boom. Kamiyane launched skyward, leaving a crater. Hashirama barely turned before seeing it. A crimson meteor streaking across the night, trailing fire and shaking the air itself. The Scarlet Winged Comet descended. Chomai's fiery avatar reborn. Again? Hashirama growled. Having witnessed this mountain-shattering taijutsu 3 times already, the wood human nevertheless coiled its remaining arm. Sage chakra crystallizing its surface into diamond hardwood. And threw a world-breaking punch. Kamiyane. The flaming bird fell like a meteor from outer space. A streak of light flashed, followed by a deafening explosion that shook heaven and earth. Mountains crumbled, tidal waves surged, and shockwaves obliterated forests across thousands of meters. On a reef some distance away, a figure materialized out of thin air. The moment Kagami Uchiha appeared, the cataclysmic battle seized his attention. He stared dumbfounded at the colossal wood human and the 2 figures clashing fiercely atop its head, scarcely believing his eyes. Brother. Has he really become this strong? He murmured in shock. That's Lord Hashirama's sage mode. Just minutes earlier, he'd used the Flying Thunder God technique to reach a coastal town in the land of hot water. Following his memories, he swiftly located a gambling den and rushed to the 2nd floor, where he found the infant Tsunoda in swaddling clothes. And a translucent blue cat. Why so late? Delays cost extra. I'll definitely extort this kid later. Bachi grumbled before dissolving into blue mist. Kagami didn't hesitate, he immediately teleported back to Hidden Lee village with Tsunoda. When Dobirama saw him return, the 2nd Hokage radiated killing intent so intense it froze Kagami momentarily. Only after explaining the situation and passing Dobirama's sensory verification did the tension ease. Tsunoda was placed under heavy guard, and Kagami confirmed Hashirama and Kamiyane's status. Kagami, didn't I teach you to always maintain Flying Thunder God markers? Yes, sensei. Then Dobirama imprinted his own marker on Kagami, take me to the battlefield. Boom. Another earth-shaking collision snapped Kagami back to reality. Hashirama, engulfed in Sage Mode's chakra flames, wielded mountain-shattering strength amplified by Senjutsu. Kamiyane maintained his 5th gate release. Azure steam billowing as every strike ignited air friction into blazing trails. Occasional flashes of dark science sword energy forced even Hashirama to dodge rather than block. Blue and green after images clashed in a brutal exchange, each flesh-crushing impact resonating like thunder. Suddenly, mid-battle, Kamiyane's eyes snapped upward. Ignoring Hashirama's fist smashing into his face, he flicked his wrist. Crack. The Shimatsuki's resolve vanished with a near-splitting sonic boom. Every hair on Kagami's body stood erect. To ordinary shinobi, the attack would be invisible. But through Sharingan vision, he saw the sacred blade piercing sound waves, streaking toward him like divine retribution. His hands instinctively formed a Flying Thunder God seal. A space rippled behind him. A familiar white-haired figure materialized silently. Chapter 72, This blade strike is from Madara-sama, return to you not good. Kagami's pupils abruptly constricted. She screamed in utter terror. Teacher, run. Everything was too late. A prescient slash pierced through Dobirama's chest the moment he materialized. Squelch. Excruciating pain forced Obirama's eyes wide open, blood vessels bursting across his pupils. Locked in an expression blending shock and agony, the katana propelled him backward through multiple coral formations before slamming him against the cliff wall with a thunderous crash. On the battlefield, Hashirama clearly noticed the distance situation after sending Kamiyane flying with a single punch. Obirama. His heart twisted slightly, but reason reminded him, he couldn't turn back, couldn't afford to be distracted. After activating Sage Mode, he could not only rely on its enhanced perception to counter attacks but also harness surrounding natural energy for combat, managing to hold his own against the monstrous opponent. But this wasn't what he wanted. Kamiyane has completely fallen into darkness. If this prolonged battle continues, I'll most likely lose. If we let him leave unchecked, Who knows how many more people will end up like Tobirama in the future. He made up his mind and exhaled a long, steady breath. Let's go all out. Hashirama pressed his palms together as usual, resembling a meditating monk, yet the bone-chilling killing intent in his gaze transformed him into an Asura heralding annihilation. Sage art. Wood style, through several thousand hands. A tsunami-like surge of majestic chakra erupted. Beneath Hashirama's feet, beams of stark-white light pierced the earth as colossal timbers collided with thunderous roars, kicking up swirling dust clouds. Accompanied by Hashirama's furious roar, a kilometer-tall wooden Buddha statue erupted from the ground. Countless wooden arms densely packed behind the Buddha stretched endlessly, heavy, unyielding, radiating overwhelming pressure. Bathed in moonlight, the Buddha's silhouette dominated the night sky, its gargantuan shadow swallowing the entire coastline. Facing the boundless thousand-handed wooden Buddha, Kamiane craned his neck upward. His eyes discerned the moon-crowned figure standing atop the Buddha's head, a silhouette radiating divine authority akin to a celestial deity. Lord Madara, is this what you faced back then? He shook his head with a smile. No, what you confronted in those days must have been far stronger than this. Forget it, this is exactly what I want. He crossed his hands, assuming a power-gathering stance. Surging chakra coursed through his meridians, his black hair stirring without wind. Surrounding debris rose and fell with each breath, signaling immense energy coalescing. Though seemingly a simple movement, the instant he assumed the posture, the surrounding 100-meter radius froze. Sea breezes, crashing waves, trembling debris. All movement decelerated to slow motion. An invisible aura radiated from his body, blanketing all directions and blotting out the heavens and earth. Dark clouds pressed down on the night sky, making distant Kagami hold its breath as he attempted to approach Tobirama. Kagami had no choice but to halt her movement, casting a fearful and startled gaze toward Kamiane. 8 gates style, 6th gate of view, open. Kamiane spread his arms wide and roared hoarsely. Dense azure energy detonated like a bomb, roaring with mountain-shaking force that pierced the heavens. The terrifying energy column tore through the dark clouds, scattering them into fragments. From afar, it resembled a colossal cyan lotus blooming across the sky. Kamiane leaped into midair. This time, no water molecules condensed beneath his feet, he truly stood suspended in the void, mastering aerial levitation through pure energy. After advancing to the sea god's body, his cultivation progress in the 8 gates became extremely sluggish. The meridians that once opened with ease now stood as solid as rock, requiring him to exert 1,000 times the effort of an ordinary person to push open this forbidden gate. Of course, the rewards are worth it. The reason is that the intensity of his current 6th gate of view already surpasses Might Guy's 8th gate of death from the original timeline. Apex Buddha. Hashirama roared, the 1,000-hand wooden Buddha beneath him lowering its eyelids with a compassionate gaze, determined to subdue the malevolent demon before them. Endless colossal palms surged forth, blotting out the sky and moon, unstoppable as if to crush everything in their path. The mere force of their palms whipped up gale force winds, shattering boulders and splitting mountains. Kamiane swiftly threw a punch, the thunderous sonic boom erupting as an enormous air cannon tore through space, instantly shattering several massive wooden Buddha palms. The speed of this strike was unimaginably fast, its power far surpassing Chongming. He did not stop throwing punches, after images rippled as a sudden whirlwind erupted from the ground. His fists moved faster than the eye could follow, launching machine gun-like barrages of powerful air cannons that collided with the endless sea of palms. Evening Elephant, 81 consecutive strikes. Kamiane roared at the sky, his jet-black hair wildly dancing in the frenzied wind as he resembled a demonic deity. He completed an escalating sequence of 81 consecutive punches in merely 3 sanxi. Light exploded, splintered wood flying in all directions. However, the wooden Buddha's attacks surged like an endless torrent, wave after relentless wave, as countless gigantic palms once again submerged Kamiane's form. Kamiane stepped on air, shooting toward the colossal Buddha like Icarus from Greek mythology. Without hesitation, he spread his arms to face the fiery rain in the darkness, as if to embrace a sun that did not exist, intoxicated by its radiance yet unafraid of having his wings scorched by the searing heat and plummeting downward. Boom boom boom. The heavens and earth paled as a deafening roar pierced the sky. The ground was torn asunder, and a ring-shaped storm centered on the wooden Buddha swept outward for thousands of feet. The relentless storm sent Kagami Uchiha, who had been like a leaf in the wind, hurtling straight to Tobirama's side before slamming into the jagged rocks. Hashirama gasped heavily, no longer knowing how much strength he had left. All his attention remained fixed on the gradually dissipating dust and smoke. Chapter 73, Actually, I've already learned I'm a ninja too. This is how ninjas fight. Behind Hashirama, Kamiane slowly unsheathed his luminous blade, limbs fully restored, not a trace remained of his earlier battered state. His next slash targeted the neck. My fellow Hidden Leaf villagers are all part of my being. The people of the village believe in me, and I believe in them. What? Kamiane frowned, failing to catch Hashirama's murmured words. I'll entrust my dreams to the distant future. As for you. Hashirama's voice weakened to a whisper. Go repent in hell. With a thunderous roar, he mustered the final ounce of strength from every fiber of his being, turning with desperate force to drive his fist into Kamiane's chest. This strike embodied the full resolve of the shinobi god, channeling every last drop of sage art chakra into a final crescendo that would echo through his lifetime. The colossal impact shattered the defenses of the sea god's physique, its destructive force penetrating bone to send Kamiane's organs shifting within him. Kamiane coughed up blood and was sent flying backward in a straight line, directly toward where Kagami stood. He had just rushed to Tobirama's side and pulled out Frostfall's single heart from its sheath. 1,000 meters vanished in an instant. Kagami only saw a blur before someone flew right in front of him. Squelch. Kagami stared blankly at the face so close to his, unfamiliar yet disheveled, finding himself momentarily at a loss. Only when a trickle of warmth flowed over his wrist did he notice his trembling hands clutching the blade embedded in his brother's heart. You've suffered these years, little brother. Kamiane's head slumped weakly on Kagami's shoulder as he whispered close to his ear. Familiar words, a familiar tone, familiar warmth. Suddenly pulled his thoughts back to yesterday. On the Hokage Rock, in a forgotten corner where no one cared, there was someone to talk with, someone to gaze at the starry sky with, someone to look out at the prosperous and peaceful Hidden Leaf village together. It was the first time in so many years that he felt less alone. So. It was you. Kagami stumbled back several steps with a thud, 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 staring in horror at his brother lying prone on the ground, breath extinguished. His features contorted bit by bit, his expression growing increasingly deranged. In the distance, Hashirama gazed at Kamiane's corpse, no longer able to hold on. The facial markings representing immortal mode gradually faded away, like the setting sun descending. He collapsed backward limply and wearily closed his eyes. Kagami stumbled backward uncontrollably, unable to believe the scene before him, driven by instinct to flee until his back hit the jagged rocks. No, no, no. I killed him. My own brother. He stared at his blood-soaked hands as a crimson haze swam before his eyes, his vision blurred by blood and tears. Kagami, cut off his head and gouge out his eyes. In the distance, the feeble Tobirama suddenly spoke. Kagami, on the verge of collapse, suddenly froze. What had he just heard? The teacher he had always revered most had not only watched him kill his own elder brother with his own eyes but also ordered him to desecrate the corpse? Hurry! Tobirama clutched his chest, where blood gushed out unceasingly. His voice was weak yet urgent. Hurry up and do it. Kagami stared blankly at her teacher, then turned to her brother, hesitating and uncertain what to do. Shall we make a move? Why? I still don't even know why he left the village back then. Still don't understand what exactly Madara's will is that he's so insistent on upholding. Still don't know why he chose to become an enemy of the leaf. What has he been through all these years? Has he been living well? Even more perplexing. Why does he keep letting me go time and again? So it turns out. I never truly understood him. They know nothing, yet they shamelessly bask in the light to judge others, to judge their own blood brother. How utterly disgusting. If only I had talked to him sooner, understood everything about him earlier. Perhaps the ending wouldn't have been so catastrophic. In the end, I killed him with my own hands. He was so powerful, having faced Lord Hashirama unscathed. How could he possibly die by my hand? Why? Why should I be the one to kill him? I'm the least qualified person to do so. An extreme chill swept out in all directions. A bone-chilling chakra erupted violently. Under Tobirama's disbelieving gaze, Kagami opened his pair of crimson eyes. As blood vessels crawled across the pupils, the tails of the three Tomoe gradually elongated and linked together. Ink-black patterns expanded outward, eventually morphing and solidifying into the shape of a slender three-leaf clover. Mangekyo Sharingan. Tobirama's jaw dropped. For the first time in his life, he lost his composure as something beyond his understanding had occurred. His face turned ashen as lime, though it was unclear whether from pain or terror. Suddenly, Kagami's body trembled. A flicker of astonishment crossed his face before vanishing, all emotions draining from his eyes until only stillness remained, calm as undisturbed water. Tobirama's throat bobbed as he opened his mouth. Before he could voice the question, Kagami hurled a kunai straight at him. You! A breeze stirred, and a massive hand materialized out of thin air, swift as thunder. Two fingers stretched out, already reaching toward the newly awakened Mangekyo Sharingan eyes. Swish! Kagami vanished into thin air and reappeared beside Tobirama, one hand catching the kunai while the other rested on Tobirama's shoulder. Kamiane lunged at empty air, turning to his brother with startled eyes. His left pupil had already transformed into an eerie, bone-white void. His corpse dissipated into crystalline light, vanishing like a bubble disintegrating in sunlight, leaving no trace behind. Why? Kagame's eyes flickered with confusion, blood-streaked tears still glistening on his cheeks. Why would you do this? Chapter 74, Can Your Eyes See That Future? Hidden Leaf Village, late at night. After last night's violent turmoil, with the protagonist of the 100-day banquet abducted, representatives from the 4 great ninja villages left the village one after another, parting on unpleasant terms. Thus, the once lively celebration came to an abrupt end. Fortunately, Kagami Uchiha rescued Princess Tsunoda in the nick of time, and the villain who disrupted Hidden Leaf Village's peace was brought to justice by the first Hokage. The anxious villagers were finally able to settle down. With the joint efforts of the relevant departments, the injured received treatment, damaged buildings were repaired, and post-disaster tasks such as comforting the populace and assessing losses proceeded in an orderly manner. All order within the village was operating normally, restored to its former tranquility. When the sun rises, there will be another vibrant, hope-filled tomorrow. All of the above. They were lies meticulously crafted to placate the populace. The truth is, Lord Hokage's breath was as faint as a silk thread, his survival uncertain. Lord Obirama had sustained grave injuries and remained unconscious. With Hidden Leaf Village's central pillar missing, the entire leadership descended into utter chaos, trapped in a perpetual state of dread. To stabilize the situation, Hidden Leaf Village's authorities had no choice but to suppress information and cover up these forceful incidents. However, aside from the clan heads, there was another person overwhelmed with urgent matters. Captain Kagami, the Southern District Patrol is complete. Should we take a break? No. Patrol East Street again. Maintain utmost vigilance. Yes, sir. Kagami, I'm truly sorry about last night. I didn't realize I was being possessed. Captain Hamura, I hold no grudge. Let's focus on strengthening the village's perimeter defenses. The clan still need your coordination. Kagami. Tell me where that bastard is hiding. I'll kill him with my own hands. Hiruzen? You. Kamiane has already been executed. Why must you still? Stop lying. Save your pathetic excuses for the ghosts. That bastard killed my father. As the Saratobi clan's heir, I have every right to know. Hiruzen, calm down first. Kagami Uchiha, your brother is really something, huh? Denzo, this isn't the time for your sarcastic remarks. Kagami. Lord Kagami. At dawn, Kagami dragged his exhausted body back toward the clan's territory. Reaching a street corner, he found himself inexplicably glancing to the left. The breakfast shop across the street wafted over tantalizing aromas that made empty stomachs growl. At an outdoor table, a handsome black-haired youth lifted his cup in a faint toast, offering a soft smile. Kagami's eyes flickered as he suppressed the storm of emotions in his heart, then walked over with leaden steps. He stopped across the table, unable to stop himself from scrutinizing the youth before him. The boy had delicate features with long, silky eyelashes, his beauty almost feminine. Dressed in the Uchiha clan's customary black attire, he'd tied his jet-black long hair into a ponytail for efficient chowing down. He slurped his soup with loud gulp-gulp-gulp noises. The table overflowed with lavish fare, eel sushi, seaweed rice balls, steaming fresh milk, assorted bento boxes, oden stew, cakes and pastries, fruit salads. Countless varieties and flavors mingled, their aromas curling through the air in delicate tendrils. For an ordinary person, such a breakfast spread bordered on outright decadence. The boy ate with refined elegance, holding a rice spoon in his right hand. He meticulously scraped every last grain from his lunchbox, chewing them along with a meatball before swallowing a sip of milk. Finally, he picked up a handkerchief and dabbed his lips leisurely. Little brother, have a seat. Kagami drew a deep breath and stiffly settled into the chair across the table. Brother, how did you get in here? Boring question. You might as well ask why I'm here. Kamiane picked up a rice ball and took a bite without waiting for a response. You're starving, aren't you? Go ahead. Consider it my treat. A bead of sweat rolled down Kagami's temple. What are you doing here? First and foremost, it's about eating. Kamiane took a bite of sushi and mumbled indistinctly. Last night's battle was really exhausting, mostly mentally draining. Good food can fill the void in my heart. Kagami remained unfazed as crimson light erupted from his eyes, threads of blood seeping from their corners. He had activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. The patterns swirled endlessly, as if they were clover dancing in the wind. Fine eyes, truly stunning. Kamiane remarked while eating salad, his ink-black pupils meeting the other's gaze with undisguised admiration. He seemed to recall something and casually asked. How is Dobirama doing? Neither the Hokage nor Lord Tobirama are in Hidden Leaf Village. Kagami stared at him intently. Lady Mido and Princess Tsunade have also been relocated to a secret location. None of them are here. I merely asked casually, little brother. Kamiane smiled faintly. Truthfully, the primary purpose behind stirring up all this trouble has always been you. Me? A flicker of confusion crossed Kagami's face, then vanished as his right eye glowed faintly, like ripples dissolving on a lake's still surface. You want my eyes to fuse them into an eternal eye that will never lose its sight, Kagami stated calmly. Kamiane leaned forward slightly. Oh? You've seen the stone tablet at Nanga Shrine? I haven't. Moreover, I know. Kagami shook his head. That you'll reach to gouge my eyes in 3 seconds. After I say this, your curiosity will make you abandon that thought immediately. Is this your ocular jutsu? Kamiane blinked, without a trace of panic at having his hidden intentions exposed, though he'd genuinely been preparing an eye-gouging maneuver moments earlier. He stirred the daikon radish in his oden with a spoon. Interesting. You can actually peek into people's thoughts. Kagami suddenly scooped up a rice ball, speaking while chewing with a tone as calm as if discussing something entirely unrelated. In 6 seconds, you'll activate your Mangekyo Sharingan and cast demonic illusion, puppet technique on me. But it will fail, because my awakened Mangekyo Sharingan causes spiritual energy to surge, granting natural resistance to Ganjutsu. 10 seconds later, you attempt to possess me using a spiritual entity, but still fail. My other pupil technique will then counterattack you fiercely. 15 seconds later, you begin to grow curious about the ability of my other pupil technique. 1 minute later, you fly into a humiliated rage, gripping my neck as you carry me flying out of Hidden Leaf Village. 3 minutes. At this moment, time seemed to rewind 12 years. The brothers sat facing each other at home as usual, casually chatting over breakfast. As if it were the most ordinary thing. As he spoke, Kagami's right eye became bloodshot. Blood trickled down his cheek, dripping drop by drop onto the floor. Kamiane calmly finished his milk. Wipe your face. Don't scare the children. Plop. The rice ball fell onto the table. Kagami clutched his right eye, gasping urgently for breath. Peering into the future, seems you've gained quite an ability. But as your elder brother, I must warn you, the Mangekyo Sharingan is a forbidden path. From the moment those eyes awaken, blindness becomes your inevitable fate. Kamiane's lips curled into a faint smile as he remarked meaningfully, can those eyes of yours truly perceive that future? Chapter 75, 3 days later, Valley of the End beside the Uchiha clan compound, a breakfast stall by the street. Kagami panted heavily, hesitated for a moment, then continued, the pupil technique in my right eye is called Takamagahara. Its ability allows me to foresee the future, observing events that will occur 5 seconds ahead. When I actively intervene in reality, the glimpsed future also shifts accordingly. Truly a technique of fate manipulation. By channeling more ocular power, I can peer further ahead, with the maximum temporal range being 5 minutes. Humphrey. Did Tobirama order you to tell me this? Kamiane tapped the table with his index finger, visibly displeased. Correct. Kagami replied calmly. My teacher said that providing strategic information at critical moments can intimidate enemies and achieve victory without shedding blood. That old bastard still clings to life. Kamiane frowned with faint regret. Between dealing with Hashirama and forcing your Sharingan awakening, we let him slip through our fingers. Kagami wiped blood from his face. I've disclosed all my ocular jutsu and their effects to Sensei. Under his command, we might still stand a chance against you. Kamiane smirked faintly. Fight me? You don't actually think you stand a chance, do you? Brother, I won't let you succeed. Even if it means fighting, I won't retreat. Kagami declared with hard-won courage, enunciating each word clearly. Because this was teacher's final instruction before falling unconscious. Hey. It seems these eyes have made you rather arrogant. At least I can protect it from being stolen by you. Very well. Kamiane surveyed their surroundings with keen interest. Your confidence is admirable, but I wonder. Does this Hidden Leaf Village share your boldness? Kagami stiffened, a terrible suspicion dawning upon him. You couldn't possibly mean. Watch your mouth, little brother. Kamiane lifted his gaze, a malicious grin spreading across his face as he slowly rose from the table, palms pressed against its surface. If you anger me, the entire Hidden Leaf Village will pay the price for your words. Just then, a youthful voice suddenly floated through the street. Mama, look at that big brother. He's so pretty. There stood a young girl with pigtails, beside her a middle-aged beauty cradling an infant. Haruri, don't point at people. It's rude. She chided her daughter while offering Kamiane a slight bow and an apologetic smile. No need. I've always had a soft spot for sweet-talking little girls. Kamie nodded in acknowledgement and beckoned to the little girl. She responded with a sweet smile before bouncing over energetically. Kagami stood motionless, watching everything unfold with a grave expression. "Let me ask you something, little one. What's your name?" Kamie looked at the sweet, childish girl as he settled back into his seat and picked up a piece of cake. The little girl answered cheerfully, "I'm Haru Uchihari, 4.5 years old. My little brother is Garito Uchiha, just 3 months old." And she suddenly sneaked a furtive glance around, then stood on tiptoe to approach. Kamie smiled and leaned down to listen as the girl whispered breathlessly, "Let me tell you a secret. My little brother shares the same birthday as Princess Tsunade. Yesterday's celebration wasn't just her 100th day. It was his too." Kamie chuckled softly, unable to resist patting her little head. His warm eyes and delicate, gentle features made his smile radiate sunshine. "Haru's so clever. Clever kids deserve rewards. Here, Big Brother will treat you to cake. Don't worry, my hands didn't touch it." "Thank you, Big Brother." Kagami stared dazedly at this scene, as if petrified. For a split second, he even forgot to activate his pupil technique. A faint twinge pulsed deep in his heart, suddenly hollowed out, then flooded with a sour, astringent emotion. "Haru. I'm here, Haru." Kamie gazed into her clear, dark eyes and said earnestly, "Remember, no one is born above or beneath others. Anyone can be a princess. Even you." "Haru. Could I be a princess too?" she asked timidly, tapping her fingertips together. "Of course." He gazed at the girl's bewildered eyes and whispered softly, "So don't feel proud just because your brother shares a birthday with Tsunade. We Uchiha are second to none." Haru nibbled her cake in small bites, her large eyes suddenly brightening. "Oh right. Big Brother still hasn't told Haru your name, has you?" "As for me." Kamie pondered for a moment, then countered, "Do you think your brother is a bad person?" Haru immediately shook her head, her little braid swaying. "Big Brother is the most beautiful and kindest brother I've ever met." "Then remember today's answer." Kamie lowered his voice to a volume only Haru could hear, "My name is Kamie Uchiha. Whatever you hear about me from others in the future will be lies. Only the me standing before you at this very moment is real." Haru nodded with partial understanding, then pattered away at the summons of the middle-aged beauty. Only after the mother and daughter had walked some distance did Kamie turn to Kagami and drawl. "Let's return to our earlier topic. You seemed to believe yourself capable of challenging me just now. I don't want to fight you. Simple. Hand over the eyes obediently, and I'll spare you." Kamie chuckled. "And Hidden Leaf Village as well?" Kagami swallowed hard, tentatively asking. You're threatening me with innocent villagers? What's on your mind?" Kamie shot him a glance. "Slaughtering civilians, mercilessly killing the elderly, weak, women, and children. How is that any different from a beast?" "Then you." "I'm full." Kamie finished the last sip of soup and stretched lazily in contentment. "I'll give you a fair chance to duel." He stood up, slapping a stack of bills onto the table. 3 days from now, at the Valley of the End. Kagami rose as well, tension evident in every trembling line of his body. "What's wrong? Weren't you full of fighting spirit just now?" Kamie's tone shifted, carrying a bone-chilling coldness. "I'll be waiting there for you. If you don't appear within 3 days, I'll line up certain people's heads on your bed, one by one. Saratobe Hiruzan, Shimura Denzo, Utain Koharu, Mitakato Hamura. Along with the clan leaders of Hyuga, Inoshikacho Trio, Aburame, Inuzuka, and Kurama. I'll deliver them to your doorstep in batches, one after another." Kamie feigned remorse. "Though I bear no grudge against them, who made these your bonds?" Kagami's face flushed crimson. How is this not a massacre? He harbored no doubt about the feasibility of those words, for he knew full well. The man before him was the one who had defeated the god of shinobi. Even the teacher's expression turned uglier than swallowing feces whenever Kamie's name was mentioned. "Of course, you can't blame me," Kamie drawled, leisurely pacing to stand beside Kagami. "When that time comes, you must remember, it was your cowardice that doomed them." After speaking, he strode into the distance and vanished between one heartbeat and the next. Chapter 76, Today I finally know who I am in the Land of Fire, atop a secluded high mountain. This place was once the secret base of the Senju clan during the Warring States period. Due to its comprehensive medical facilities, secluded and advantageous geographical location, and being easily defensible, it has been preserved even after the war. After the establishment of Hidden Leaf Village, Obirama would periodically arrange for his trusted aides to maintain the base's normal operations in case of emergencies. The higher the position, the colder the solitude. As the chilly morning wind blew through the window, causing the curtains to sway, Tobirama on the sickbed slowly opened his eyes. He merely shifted slightly, but the wound on his chest throbbed with such intensity that his face twitched involuntarily. He gritted his teeth against the pain as he pushed himself upright, finding himself shirtless with pristine white bandages wrapped layer upon layer across his chest and abdomen, concealing the sutured wound beneath. After taking a moment to recover, when he felt some strength returning to his limbs, he grimaced through the pain as he slowly slid off the bed. Kamien's blade, imbued with lethal intent, had missed by mere centimeters. That strike nearly claimed his life on the shores of Hidden Waterfall Village. To avoid being pursued by Kamien, he had arranged for his guards to relocate himself and members of the Senju clan, including Hashirama, here before losing consciousness. "Lord Tobirama, you're awake." A medical staff member pushed the door open and, upon seeing Tobirama sitting on the bed, immediately lit up with joy. Tobirama waved his hand to signal her not to panic. He tilted his head slightly and glimpsed a familiar figure in white through the partially ajar door. He put on his shoes and got out of bed, hastily draping an outer robe over his shoulders. Seeing this, the medical staff immediately rushed over to support him. "I'm not so weak that I need help with this." Tobirama declined her assistance, shakily making his way out the door on unsteady legs alone. On a cliff some distance away, Hashirama Senju sat cross-legged upon a smooth bluish stone slab with his back turned to the base. Clad in pristine white robes, he sat serenely on the precipice with steady breath, gazing toward the distant Hidden Leaf village as though merging with nature itself. "Brother, you woke up quite early." "Oh, it's you, Tobirama." Hashirama turned at the sound of his voice, flashing a set of gleaming white teeth as he smiled. "Yes, I feel inexplicably refreshed." He looks to be in excellent spirits, with no trace of the exhaustion from before. As if last night's earth-shattering battle had never occurred at all. Yet Tobirama suddenly halts in his tracks, pupils constricting sharply. In his subconscious perception, there was not a trace of vitality left within Hashirama's body. The once dense, blazing sun-like life force had completely vanished. His expression was gloomy, his heart heavy with turmoil, his gaze toward his elder brother dull and lifeless. Yet Hashirama remained completely oblivious, cheerfully smiling as he motioned for his younger brother to sit beside him. "Tobirama, look quickly. From here, our Hidden Leaf village truly lies at the very heart of a land of fire." Hashirama smiled contentedly, pointing toward a direction below the mountain. "Surrounded by mountains on all sides and encircled by emerald waters. We truly chose the perfect spot to build the village back then, ha 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 ha." "Brother. You're about to die," Tobirama hesitantly reminded him. Hashirama's smile remained undimmed. "Exactly. That's why you shouldn't wear such an expression. The final moments of one's life should be met with the joyful farewells of loved ones. Don't look so gloomy. Give me a smile." "Brother, I can't bring myself to smile." Tobirama's heart felt heavy as he gazed at Hashirama with bewilderment. "Aren't you worried about the village? After you die, I truly don't know what to do with myself." Tobirama stared at his own hands, his expression dazed. For the first time in 40 years, he wore such a look. "There's nothing you need to do. Just let things take their natural course." Hashirama replied. "Let nature take its course? Am I supposed to just stand by and watch Kamien Uchiha destroy Hidden Leaf village?" Hashirama inhaled a breath of the crisp, cool mountain air, then exhaled slowly as though expelling a lifetime's worth of weariness. He suddenly said, "A village. As long as its people remain and peace endures, can any place not become a village? Big brother, you." For some reason, after waking up I felt like I'd broken free from some kind of shackles. Suddenly, so many things became clear to me. It's truly an unprecedented sense of relief. Hashirama stretched lazily, wearing an expression of serene contentment. "Besides, Kamien Uchiha will not destroy Hidden Leaf village." "Why?" Tobirama frowned. "Like Madara, his goal was never Hidden Leaf village. He merely seeks vengeance. To claim the lives of us executioners who survived the Warring States era. The reason is..." Hashirama extended a finger. "Tsunade is still alive. That's merely his tactic." Tobirama shook his head immediately. "He's Madara's disciple, but also a man of principle." Hashirama chuckled. "Trust me." His gaze drifted down the mountain, watching mists swirl with the wind, clouds billow beneath radiant sunsets, endless azure skies stretch overhead, and vibrant greenery blanket the earth. A content and serene gaze, carrying not a trace of longing. Perhaps entrusting the future to these children is the right decision after all. Hashirama sat cross-legged atop the pillar, hands resting naturally on his knees. As the breeze tousled his black hair, a soft chant escaped his lips. "In life, no good deeds done, no shortage of murder and flames. Suddenly freed from golden bonds, here I break the jade chains. Autumn wind sweeps Hidden Leaf village's leaves. Today I finally know myself. He closed his eyes with a smile, listening to the rustling of wind-blown leaves, serene and tranquil. Hidden Leaf Village, Year 13, November. Hashirama Senju passed away suddenly. 3 days later, the Valley of the End. In the early morning, 3 or 2 autumn breezes stirred fallen leaves into swirling patterns. Perhaps due to the waterfall looming nearby, the valley's faint wind carried moist vapor that lifted Kamien's long hair in gentle undulations. This place was originally a river valley with rugged terrain. The life and death battle between Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju 6 years ago had forcibly altered the landscape, transforming it into a magnificent and majestic waterfall through their clash. To commemorate this great battle, Hidden Leaf Village specially selected skilled craftsmen who spent a full year constructing the colossal statues of both warriors that now tower over both banks of the Valley of the End. At this moment, Kamien stood atop the statue of Madara Uchiha, posture straight with hands clasped behind his back. His gaze remained calm, as if waiting for something to arrive. After an unknown amount of time, the corner of his mouth curved into a faint smile. A kunai descended from the sky and embedded itself on the opposite shore, followed by a figure who materialized out of thin air and perched atop the head of Hashirama's stone statue. Kagami Uchiha. He wore form-fitting blue armor, a forehead protector secured around his head, scrolls hanging from his waist, and armored plates fastened to his limbs. 2 long swords crossed his back while his pouch bulged with compact scrolls. His face was stern, every inch of him battle-ready. In stark contrast, Kamien appeared utterly at ease. His loose black clan robes flowed freely, ebony hair spilling unrestrained down his shoulders. The only weapon he carried was a pale cyan sacred blade at his hip. "Very well, little brother. I'm glad you could come as promised," Kamien said with a smile. "Brother." Kagami fell silent for a moment before suddenly saying, "The Hokage-sama has passed away." "Oh?" Kamien was taken aback for a moment before asking, "What about Tobirama?" Chapter 77, Garuda What? Kagami stared blankly Kamien's indifferent expression and couldn't help but blurt out, "Judging by your reaction, I guess you're not dead." Kamien crossed his arms akimbo, stretching his body like an old man doing morning exercises in the park. "It doesn't matter. Let him personally experience the pain of watching a loved one leave. But I'm still quite moved that you showed up on time today." He tilted his head slightly. "After all, I haven't been in the mood to kill lately. Sending the god of shinobi off with my own hands. My feelings are a bit complicated." "Brother, what exactly are you trying to do? Don't you already know?" Kagami stepped forward and shouted. "Take my eyes, fuse them into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Then what? What's your next move? What's your ultimate goal? Do you really intend to destroy Hidden Leaf Village? You've grown bold, now you've learned to ask questions." Kamien smiled at his younger brother. "Well, it wouldn't hurt to tell you. I have absolutely no interest in your damn Hidden Leaf Village. I have only one goal, and that is to grow stronger without pause, so that in the near future, I can protect everything I wish to protect." "The future?" Kagami was puzzled. "Your current strength is already on par with Lord Hashirama. What in this world could possibly pose a threat to you? Foolish little brother, the battles of the future won't be any easier than they are now." Kamien shook his head with a smile. "What can those eyes of yours even see?" Kagami fell silent for a moment, then murmured softly, "All I know is that Lord Hashirama was a hero who brought peace to the warring era. If you kill him, the world will descend into chaos, and countless innocent lives will be lost. So, what does that have to do with me?" Kamien narrowed his eyes slightly, a sharp aura flashing briefly. "If war truly breaks out, those who perish will be the sins of Senju Hashirama. It was he who escalated the conflict." Kagami frowned tightly, instinctively wanting to refute Kamien's point, but he opened his mouth and found no words coming out. Hashirama's downfall was simply not being strong enough. Kamien wagged a finger. "If you're determined to suppress all nations single-handedly to bring about peace, then see it through to the end. What's the point of getting killed by me halfway?" "What?" Kagami stared at Kamien in disbelief, finding the statement utterly absurd. "Actually, I've never criticized Hashirama's approach to achieving peace. His mistake was simply not being strong enough. Strong enough to suppress all opposition, strong enough that no one dares to harbor thoughts of rebellion, strong enough to match the heavens and the earth, to shine as brightly as the sun and moon. Strong enough to be eternal." Kamien looked at his younger brother, licking his lips. "Because he wasn't strong enough, he was wrong. And that will also be your downfall? The reason for your defeat?" Kagami lifted his head, his black hair stirring without wind as his eyes instantly shifted into the intricate patterns of the Mangekyo, luminous and beautiful. "Brother, all my eyes can see is the sight of you slinking away in defeat." Swish. A phantom shadow flashed as Kamiane appeared instantly before Kagami, the red light in his eyes streaking into afterimages. By the time his palm strike arrived, the crisp sound of a sonic boom was belatedly heard. As if anticipating it, Kagami sidestepped and shifted, narrowly avoiding the strike as dozens of kunai slid out from his waist pouch. Chapter 78, Little Brother, the power of the eyes is limited at the Valley of the End. Atop Hashirama's statue, the two brothers stood facing each other. Kagami Uchiha exuded an imposing aura, appearing composed as he wielded the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan for the first time. Using my own power against me? Kamiane calmly flexed his wrist, shaking his head with a light sigh. A pity. Even I find it difficult to breach my own physical defenses, let alone you borrowing such methods. Don't even dream of it. Brother, my mission has always been to protect my own eyes. Kagami said slowly. As long as I remain undefeated, that is enough. An invincible position? Kamiane flicked back his hair, a vicious smile curling at the corner of his lips. Who gave you that illusion? As he spoke, his right eye swirled, his entire demeanor instantly reaching its peak. The bloodshot veins covering the whites of his eyes completely receded, leaving them clear as flawless jade. In the next instant, he vanished on the spot, replaced by hundreds of identical black-clad figures appearing simultaneously around Kagami. Lee saw him do, chaotic blade style, raging fang burst. The sword gleamed like crystal, its jade-green sword energy overwhelming the sky, casting a ghastly green pallor over Kagami's face. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The air tore apart, the ground was shaved inch by inch, thick smoke surged into the sky, and within just a few breaths, half of Hashirama's statue head was gone. Chaotic currents danced wildly as Kagami bathed in the storm of sword energy, his body swaying and undulating with it. His two crimson Mangekyo spun nearly, the left eye streaked with bloodshot veins piercing the pupil, while the right eye gushed with fresh blood. Garuda allowed him to absorb all kinetic energy the moment the sword energy struck, protecting him from harm. Under the enhancement of Takamagahara, he captured every afterimage in midair, his mind running through countless possibilities. The future was constantly being rewritten. Ah! Kagami let out a long roar to the sky, his entire body leaping up as he swung his blade. A certain afterimage instantly solidified, and a shockwave swept through the air. Clang! The blade sliced through the molecular barrier of water, striking Kamiane squarely on the forehead. A metallic hum echoed. His long sword wailed in agony. Though the contact with the opponent's body lasted but an instant, the immense force it endured caused the jade steel-forged blade to tremble violently before shattering into pieces. In stark contrast, the opponent's body remained completely unharmed. Kagami had anticipated this outcome. The moment the blade trembled violently, he swung his left fist, only for Kamiane, with a smile on his face, to tilt his head back and evade it. Two figures descended from midair, their trajectories intertwined with countless afterimages of punches and kicks. Kagami showed no sign of discouragement. The energy accumulated within his body made his movements incredibly swift, and in terms of pure taijutsu power, he had already surpassed the shadow level. Yet he didn't even manage to touch the hem of his opponent's garment. Kamiane leisurely rested his hands behind his head, in no hurry to attack, merely dodging with graceful movements, effortlessly predicting all of Kagami's strikes as if he were the true practitioner of Takamagahara. No, it's impossible. Defeating him is nothing but a delusion. Kagami's expression visibly turned grave. He was already pushing his pupil technique to the limit, yet in the future seen by his right eye, Kamiane had no possibility of being hit. So even that last slash was something he deliberately took. As thoughts of retreat surfaced in his mind, Kagami's punches lost their sharpness, and his once aggressive footwork slowed down noticeably. TSK, can't handle it already? Put in more effort. Kamiane unconsciously curled his lips, showing a look of disdain. Someone who gives up so easily could never become strong. Back when he was sparring with Lord Madara in taijutsu, he kept throwing punches even after getting beaten to a pulp. At this level, you can't protect anyone. Kamiane grabbed Kagami's wrist with a reverse grip, pulling and twisting his waist to build momentum while silently chanting, "Third life gate." With an explosive burst of air, he unleashed a vicious liver punch. The force was so immense that his knuckles left 5 scorching, distorted trails in the air. Boom! Kagami's eyes widened as a fierce force surged through his body, the overwhelming kinetic energy instantly surpassing Garuda's absorption frequency. His left eye turned blood red, vision blurred by gushing blood. He was sent flying like a ragged sack, smashing through the ground in succession before being violently embedded into the stone sculpture on the opposite shore. As fate would have it, that spot was precisely where Madara Uchiha's chest had been. The very place where Hashirama's flesh had once been transplanted. Oh dear, how inauspicious. Kamiane scratched his head, looking somewhat troubled. This piece of flesh took Lord Madara 6 whole years to fully heal. Within the crevice of the stone wall, Kagami was still processing the chaotic energy surging through his body when his pupils abruptly constricted. The next second, he eerily appeared beside Kamiane, struck by an unavoidable kick that sent him crashing into the ground with tremendous force, the impact rippling through the entire statue and cracking it with countless fissures. Little brother, is this the future you chose? Kamiane looked down at Kagami from above, tendrils of azure energy curling around him, his vermilion jade eyes shimmering with an eerie, soul-piercing glow. Another foot came down, striking the same spot with the same brutal force. Boom. The ground caved into a massive crater. Kagami coughed up a mouthful of blood, his ribs shattered one by one, feeling as if his internal organs were being displaced. Seeing his opponent's foot rise once more, he blasted energy into the ground, hoping to propel himself out of the deadly pit. But his vision blurred. He found himself back in the same spot again. Boom. The statue of Hashirama began to violently shake, cracks appearing from top to bottom, fissures spreading across its entire body from head to toe. Fragments of stone fell, splashing water everywhere as dust filled the air. Ah! Amidst Kagami's roar, the long-accumulated energy erupted in full force. A golden light shot forth from within, its blazing radiance swiftly morphing into a ferocious skeletal form. The shockwaves surged skyward, tearing even the clouds to shreds. Susanoo. Golden energy gushed forth like a fountain, blasting the unprepared Kamiane away in an instant. Yet, in the next instant, he adjusted his stance, using the water barrier as a stepping stone, diving down like a peregrine falcon. The dust was torn apart by the force of the punch, revealing a colossal golden skeleton roaring at the sky. Countless veins instantly filled the gaps between its bones, transforming into solid flesh. Its body grew larger, radiant as gold, shimmering with a clear and brilliant light. Kagami clutched his chest, swaying unsteadily within the Susanoo. His eyes were already filled with blood, his vision blurred. In that hazy sight, a figure came charging at him with explosive speed. The golden half-bodied giant swung its mighty fist, colliding with Kamiane's punch in a powerful clash. There was no earth-shattering impact as expected. Only a fleeting, crisp crack, like the sound of shattering glass. Kamiane's body seemed forged from divine iron, every inch of his muscles crystalline as jade, indestructible and overwhelmingly powerful. He didn't even bother to condense a water molecule barrier, opting instead for the most primitive method. Like a ferocious cannonball, he smashed straight through Kagami's Susanoo and drove his fist into his abdomen. The force of the punch erupted, a surging shockwave roaring past as Kagami's body folded in half instantly before being blasted back into the water's surface. Kamiane raised his hand, making a grasping motion at the empty air before him. His right eye's hyper-long-distance vision instantly locked onto Kagami's submerged position. As crimson light flared, he seized Kagami by the throat from thin air. Oops, I hit too hard. He carefully examined his younger brother's face, or more precisely, his eyes. The left eye, which had been maintaining the Garuda form, was now filled with blood vessels, bleeding profusely. The right eye that unleashed Takamagahara was also crimson, the blood on his cheek even showing signs of drying up. Little brother, the power of the pupil is limited. The more you unleash it, the faster the darkness will consume you. As he spoke, Hidden Rain Village no Tokatachi was quietly activated. Kamiane gave a light chuckle as the state of the third life gate dissipated, his pupils clear and pristine as usual, all injuries completely reset to 0. Chapter 79, State Your Conditions. Kamiane gripped Kagami's neck with one hand, lifting him slowly as if he were a chick. This grand battle between brothers soon came to an end, like a fleeting meteor, arriving and departing in haste. The outcome is decided. It's time for you to surrender your eyes. Kamiane smiled as he raised his hand, his slender fingers reaching towards Kagami's eyes. Buzz. The moment his fingertips touched Kagami's eyelid, his body rippled with distortion, the afterimage coalescing to absorb all kinetic energy from the contact. Kamiane's brows furrowed slightly as he silently increased the pressure, yet no matter how much force he exerted, he couldn't pierce through Kagami's eye. His body was like a resilient yet pliant wall. Any contact would dissipate all momentum, absorbing every ounce of kinetic energy. You. Kamiane's gaze turned icy, his tone losing all patience. Lift this technique, or you'll go blind. Kagami opened his blood-red eyes. Even though he could no longer clearly see Kamiane's face, even as his vision blurred and faded, he stubbornly maintained the Garuda technique. Brother, this is the future I have chosen. The corners of his lips curled into a tragic smile. Kamiane let out a cold snort and slammed him onto the ground with a thunderous crash, leaving a human-shaped crater in the earth. Kagami raised his head shakily, his face covered in blood, feeling as if every bone in his body was about to fall apart. Although he was using the energy absorbed by Garuda to heal his injuries, he still didn't even have the strength to get up. The amount of energy Garuda could absorb had its limits, and the massive kinetic force from those 3 powerful kicks earlier nearly overwhelmed him to the point of bursting. If he hadn't promptly used Susanoo to release the energy, the surging power within him would have backfired, causing him to explode into annihilating golden flames. This is also the fatal flaw of the Garuda Eye technique. He knew very well that Kamien's attack had been gentle enough. If he had unleashed the overwhelming power he used against Hashirama, he would have been instantly annihilated without a doubt, and his left eye would have gone blind immediately. But clearly, his gamble had paid off. What Kamien needed was a pair of intact, fully functional Mangekyo Sharingan. As long as he desperately maintained Garuda, Kamien wouldn't deliver a fatal blow. This was the strategy he had agonized over for 3 full days to devise. Fight my brother? Are you kidding? He didn't even draw his sacred blade. That's the man who rightfully defeated Lord Hashirama, now standing at the pinnacle of the shinobi world. If Kamien truly had killing intent, he would have been obliterated instantly. He knows full well that every breath he takes now is by his brother's mercy. You really don't want me to have your eyes, do you? Kamien stepped on Kagami's chest, his handsome face flashing with a tyrant's coldness, his clear eyes reflecting an icy mountain. Kagami shivered as an overwhelming murderous aura surged toward him, the bone-chilling cold gnawing at him. He could do nothing but tremble in fear. Good, little brother, wait here obediently. He gazed at the azure sky. I'll bring your companions to you soon. Every last one of those Hidden Leaf Village shinobi. Of course, I mean their heads. Just as Kamien was about to step forward, a desolate laugh suddenly echoed from behind him. Brother, if that were the case, I would destroy my own eyes without hesitation. Kagami smiled self-deprecatingly. I can't stop anything, I can't protect anything, but this is the last thing I can do for the village. As he spoke, he drew a kunai from his waist pouch, its sharp tip aimed directly at his own eyes. Kamien slowly turned his head. Do it. Thud. Kagami acted like an emotionless, painless machine, decisively executing the command by piercing through his own right eye. He pulled out the kunai, and a splash of scalding blood spilled out. Seizing the moment, he then pierced his own left eye. Blood gushed out as Kagami propped up his upper body, attempting to locate Kamien with his hollowed-out eyes. A surge of inky black energy erupted, and a massive hand wreathed in dark mist shot out like a striking python, crushing Kagami's mangled body within its grasp. However, Kamien's emotions were unexpectedly stable, not flying into a rage as Kagami had seen in the future. Instead, he pulled Kagami close, lost in thought. I must say, for the dog of Hidden Leaf Village, you're truly loyal. Kagami tilted his head to listen as the breeze carried the unmistakable sound of mockery. He turned his face toward the source of the voice. Brother, compared to my eyes, the lives of those villagers mean nothing to you, don't they? He spoke weakly. The ocular technique Garuda vanished along with the destruction of his left eye, and the energy within his body dissipated as well, no longer healing his injuries. Kamien smiled meaningfully. You dare destroy your own eyes in front of me? It's only fair that I vent my anger by killing a few of your companions, don't you think? Reasonable. Kagami's breath was visibly weak. But then, you'd miss the optimal time to restore my eyes. The disadvantages outweigh the benefits. It's not worth the loss. Humphrey, so you even foresaw this scene? No, wait. Kamien stroked his chin. It's precisely because you saw this moment that you dared to destroy your own eyes so brazenly. Brother, I'm just proving my resolve. The resolve to sacrifice everything. Kagami whispered. I know. If I don't let you have your way this time, you'll truly raise the village to the ground. And that's an outcome neither of us wants to see. Then you should choose a win-win outcome. Give me the eyes and keep Hidden Leaf Village intact. He stared at Kagami's body, the skeletal arm of his Susanoo swaying slightly. Name your terms. Cough cough, as expected of my brother, you saw right through me. Chapter 80, The Binding Curse. Kagami hung his head low, the life force slowly draining from his body. Brother, I can give you my eyes, but I have one condition. Kamien wore an I knew it expression. Go on. He said. 5 years. Kagami took a deep breath. In 5 years, I will personally deliver my intact eyes to you. During this time, please refrain from attacking Hidden Leaf Village. Is that all? Kamien raised an eyebrow. That's right, I only need 5 years, brother. Kagami said weakly. The founding of Hidden Leaf Village was not easy. Before that, I lived every day in a world of darkness, constantly on edge, filled with fear and anxiety, worrying that one day you might leave me forever, just like father and mother did. A stirring in Kamien's heart, the breeze gently lifting his long hair, his gaze trembling imperceptibly, like a stone cast into a calm lake, sending ripples across the surface. Kagami's voice was faint. I've tried my best to avoid their matters. I know it's not your fault, brother. You were also forced onto the battlefield, forced to fight. They acted out of love and compassion, praying for your health and practicing medicine, which is why they met such a tragic end. What right do you have to blame me? Kamien's eye twitched slightly. It was the Senju clan who killed them. Yes, that's why I resent the war, the hatred, this chaotic era. In war, everyone is a victim. Kagami struggled slightly, aggravating his internal injuries and sending him into an uncontrollable coughing fit. After a long while, he finally calmed his breathing. The emergence of Hidden Leaf Village not only brought the two clans to a truce but even ended the era of war, sparing children across the land from the suffering of conflict. In my heart, this is the true path to peace. Brother, how I wish. How I long for you to live in Hidden Leaf Village with me. We could attend school together, train under the same master. With your talent, you would surely be valued highly. Perhaps even become Hokage one day. But the reality is, whether I walk the village streets or return to our clan's grounds, I face endless cold stares and whispers. My comrades in the village suppress me because of my Uchiha identity, while the clan ostracizes me for being Lord Tobirama's student. Hidden Leaf Village does not see me as a friend, and the Uchiha do not accept me as one of their own. At home, there was only that cold bed. For 11 years, whether in the village or the clan's land, I was all alone. Just one person. I gave you a chance. Kamien sneered. But not only did you refuse to leave with me, you also betrayed me. Bloody tears streamed from the two hollowed-out sockets that were Kagami's eyes. I don't understand why you left the village, why you destroyed everything in madness, why you attacked Hidden Leaf Village alongside Lord Madara. I truly don't understand. Brother, I never once thought of killing you. The sole purpose of my arduous training all these years was to catch up to you, to bring you back to Hidden Leaf Village, to let you experience true peace. If possible, I would even be willing to die in your place. He let out a bitter laugh as he touched his hollow eye sockets. For me, what's the worth of just a pair of eyes? I'd give you my very life if it came to that. The only thing I regret is being too weak to stop you before all this happened. I know that now, with Lord Hashirama gone, trying to bring you back to Hidden Leaf Village is like striking ice to seek fire. Nothing but a futile delusion. War is coming, and I need strength to protect Hidden Leaf Village, to safeguard this fragile, hard-won peace. I only ask of you. Brother, just give me 5 years. I will protect these eyes with my life, and fight to survive until the day I can personally deliver them into your hands. As he spoke, his breathing grew fainter, the rise and fall of his chest slowed, and the coldness spread from his fingertips inch by inch toward his heart. Kamien remained silent, quietly raising his gaze to the sky. In his clear pupils, the sky was no longer a pure icy blue, but resembled the undulating sea beneath cirrus clouds. Dark, deep, and mysterious. So, the future you've chosen is merely struggling to survive for 5 more years? Hidden Rain Village no Tokatachi revolved leisurely, time stood still, and space froze. Kagami felt as though he had been detached from the world's orbit. Under the influence of an indescribable, profound force, his body was restored in the blink of an eye. The hollow, eerie eyes were restored to their original state, the body regained warmth, the heart resumed its beating, and power flowed through the muscles as if all injuries had been erased in an instant, without any process. Brother. Is this the power of brother? His vision returned in an instant, and once again he saw his brother's face, and that suddenly sharp gaze. Kamien suddenly struck, a sword finger piercing through Kagami's heart, the blade's light erupting like a pillar, blasting a bloody hole through his back as crimson rain scattered in all directions. Kagami's mouth hung open in disbelief, blood vessels crawling across his eyes. Though he activated Garuda the moment he began to recover, Kamien's sword strike had directly surpassed his absorption frequency. Such a formidable ocular technique, yet you wield it so poorly. I can't even be bothered to adapt to it. Kamien clicked his tongue and shook his head, unable to conceal his disappointment. Why? Kagami fell to his knees with a thud, cold sweat pouring down his back. What's going on? Why didn't this scene appear in the future? In the flickering future of Takamagahara, there was a scene where Kamien attempted to seize his eyes immediately after the reversal, only to be thwarted by the timely intervention of Garuda. If this strike had been aimed at his eyes, there was no doubt they would have been instantly blinded, his head pierced through along with them. Kagami's breathing was ragged. Though his heart was mending and his flesh knitting back together, he still felt an icy chill throughout his body, an overwhelming dread lingering in his mind, refusing to dissipate. What? Scared stiff? Kamien crossed his arms, one foot planted on Kagami's shoulder as he tilted his head. I can't be bothered to go to Hidden Leaf Village to kill people, so you'll take the brunt of this venting attack for them. Brother, you. Shut up. Kamien kicked him away, the line of his lips cold and unyielding. My brother died forever on that night 11 years ago. I buried him with my own hands. Kagami flipped backward, tumbling and scrambling a good distance before barely managing to get up. His trembling gaze reached out toward the figure ahead, perhaps trying to grasp his sleeve as he once did, but he could catch nothing. Kamiane turned away indifferently, the sunlight blurring his silhouette, making him appear indistinct. Only a slightly trembling voice could be heard, "Let today be the deadline. If in 5 years I don't see your eyes intact, Hidden Leaf Village will have no reason to exist." The ground shattered, a whirlwind suddenly rose, and a blurry shadow shot into the sky, rippling out a circle of milky white shock waves. Thud. Kagami's knees gave way as if all strength had left him, kneeling on the ground in utter despair, twin trails of bloody tears dripping down his cheeks. He clutched his chest, where an unbearable discomfort lingered, as if something had been cruelly carved out of him. Unbeknownst to him, the deepest recesses of his heart had been sealed with Kamiane's restraining curse. This is the only sealing technique Madara passed down to Kamiane. A cursed seal embedded in the opponent's heart, allowing complete control over them. Attempting to remove the seal would suppress their actions, making it impossible to break the curse on their own. However, Kamiane's mastery in this area was too shallow, grasping only the surface-level basics. He couldn't freely manipulate Kagami's body but could impose restrictions, forcing him to prioritize protecting his eyes when facing unavoidable danger. When the strain on his eyes became excessive, it would forcibly cut off the output of ocular power, preventing excessive damage to the Mangekyo Sharingan. Kagami gazed at the sky, a profound exhaustion seeping into his bones. Just the thought of that resolute figure walking away made his insides churn as if caught in a storm. His expression was one of sorrow as he silently closed his eyes. Chapter 81, Kamiane's Plan Kanabi Bridge, Underground Base. In the dimly lit stone chamber, a man slowly opened his eyes. Heterochromatic red and white eyes, eerie and sinister. He noticed the movement at the door, a flicker of urgency flashing across his otherwise calm and unreadable face before quickly disappearing. A few seconds later, Kamiane pushed the door open and plopped down casually across from him. Madara glanced at him and spoke calmly. Did the plan succeed? Kamiane casually picked up the water jug on the table, tilted his head back, and gulped down several mouthfuls before wiping his lips and calmly fixing his gaze on Madara. It's done. Everything is proceeding exactly as I envisioned. Madara's pupils trembled slightly, as if an electric current surged from the base of his spine to the crown of his head, leaving his emotions scorched and unsettled for a long while. The boy's expression didn't seem like a lie. He knew Kamiane well. Though usually a bit mischievous and fond of playing around, when it came to serious matters, he never joked. So, you really defeated Hashirama? He stared unblinkingly into Kamiane's eyes, leaning forward, his hands digging deep into the armrests of the stone chair without even realizing it. Kamiane took a deep breath and nodded solemnly. Yes. To be honest, my victory wasn't exactly honorable, considering he was already at the end of his days. He sighed softly and admitted without hesitation. According to the intelligence I've gathered, Senju Hashirama should have already perished. Madara leaned silently against the stone chair, staring blankly at the ceiling with a distant gaze, lost in prolonged silence. Upon hearing the news of Hashirama's death, he thought he would calmly accept the outcome, as it had been within his expectations. He was full of confidence in the disciples he had personally trained, just as he was confident in his own strength. Yet somehow, upon personally confirming this news, the corner of his eye twitched slightly, and his heart suddenly felt hollow. In his mind, the figure of that boy from his childhood inexplicably surfaced. Their playful banter and laughter by the river, their running under the sunset, the sound of that person's voice and smile still seeming to linger in his ears. But that was decades ago. Lord Madara. Kamiane hesitated before speaking, tentatively reaching out a hand. It's fine. Madara slowly came to his senses, like a man awakening from a long dream. His gaze regained its usual calm, but a deeply concealed emotion in his eyes, as rich and potent as aged liquor, could only be left to time to gradually fade. Tell me about what you've been up to during this time, he said, leaning back in his chair with his eyes closed, resting. Kamiane cleared his throat and began to narrate slowly and in detail. From infiltrating Hidden Leaf Village, manipulating Kagami's emotions, to controlling the bodies of the 4 Kages in a chaotic battle. From kidnapping Tsunade and using Kagami's body to provoke Hashirama's desperate battle, to adapting to wood style, to facing the true several thousand hands with the 8 gates formation. From silently adapting to the Flying Thunder God technique, to hurling a flying sword that severely wounded Tobirama. Finally, successfully provoking Kagami Uchiha to awaken his Sharingan, unleashing his acting skills, and tricking Kagami into completing the battle between brothers. No detail was too small to be shared. How is your brother's Mangekyo? Madara opened his eyes. This was his third question. The ocular jutsu is decent. A bit troublesome, but the execution is crude. Everything is proceeding as planned. Kamiane nodded, a profound smile flickering at the corner of his lips. I just want him to think he can use the Mangekyo Sharingan safely and soundly, trapped in the illusion that I can do nothing about it. Madara stared at him for a moment, then suddenly smiled faintly. That smile couldn't help but send a shiver down Kamiane's spine. The student has surpassed the master. To think you could devise such a method to obtain the power of all creation. Madara paused. Are you so certain that Kagami Uchiha can withstand Hashirama's power? Lord Madara, do you know why I spared Tobirama Senju's life? A short blade emerged from Kamiane's fingertip, its hue a deep, dark cyan with a rich metallic sheen, exuding an overwhelming aura of slaughter that even Madara couldn't help but feel startled by. Impressive. The ultimate form transformation with high output. This level of condensation has surpassed even the Susanoo. A fine technique, though the chakra consumption is a bit heavy. He remarked. Kamiane lifted his chin, pride dancing at the corners of his eyes and brows. The newly learned technique came in handy. I deliberately made my blade strike slightly off target, damaging the heart meridian but not fatally. This highly condensed chakra will remain in his body for a long time, clogging his meridians. If he ever releases chakra, the sword energy will pierce straight into his internal organs, causing unbearable agony. Madara rubbed his chin thoughtfully. A lot of the time, I can't help but feel you're a bit extreme. Kamiane shook his head calmly. No choice. Paralyzing Tobirama's strength for years, rendering him unable to recover, is also a crucial part of this plan. After all my meddling, Hidden Leaf Village is now strong in appearance but weak in reality. Nothing but a paper tiger. Once war breaks out, the only Kage-level powerhouse who can truly hold the front line will be Kagami Uchiha. And soon, Tobirama will realize that Kagami's Mangekyo power is finite. Once he loses those eyes, his Kage-level strength will immediately drop, and he'll revert to his original state. The curse I've placed can forcibly lock away the last remnants of Kagami's ocular power, preventing his eyes from going blind. And every time he nears his limit, I'll sense it. To sustain Kagami's combat power, maintain the strength of his Mangekyo, and considering the information I deliberately leaked earlier. Can you guess what this legendary master of forbidden techniques will do? With a glint of contemplation in his eyes, understanding flashed through his mind in an instant, and he slowly began to speak. He would go to any lengths, spare no effort, to transplant Hashirama's self-healing power to Kagami Uchiha. Moreover, we must succeed, not fail. Kamiane's eyes burned with intensity, and Madara could even hear his heartbeat like the pounding of war drums. Madara nodded. Once it fails, the Hidden Leaf Village will lose its last hope. Knowing that guy as I do, he can only succeed. I've been waiting for that moment. Kamiane said with a profound gaze, his index finger unconsciously tapping the table. At this moment, he resembled nothing more than a cunning little fox. A Mangekyo Sharingan fused with Hashirama's cells. Just thinking about it is thrilling. He licked his lips. My dear brother has already endured the pain of yin-yang fusion for me, and all I need to do is wait for the fruit to ripen. Madara raised an eyebrow. That's rather cruel of you to do to him. Cruel? Do you know how he treated me back then? If it weren't for him, why would I have become irreconcilable with Hidden Leaf Village? Lord Madara. Kamiane raised his right hand, and only then did Madara notice that his fingertips were twitching slightly. It wasn't epilepsy, but an unconscious tremor brought on by extreme excitement. As for me, I just barely restrained the urge to kill him, forcing myself to play along with his little charade. He clenched his wrist, suppressing the overwhelming surge of murderous intent rising from the depths of his heart. After taking several deep breaths, he finally managed to calm his mind. Among all the conversations with Mirror, only one sentence was true: my younger brother died forever on that night 11 years ago. It was I who buried him with my own hands. 5 years. Haha. Good brother, I can't wait that long. At this moment, Madara spoke up. Hikari has already set off for the Land of Lightning according to your plan. If you have nothing to do, you can go take a look along the way. Kamiane nodded hesitantly and asked. And what about you, Lord Madara? I want to be alone for a while. Chapter 82, The Assassination Operation Land of Lightning, The Extreme Thunder Gorge. On the only path back to Hidden Cloud's village. Boom. A deafening explosion shattered the mountain rocks into pieces. 2 streaks of light darted swiftly between the undulating peaks, colliding violently, causing the ground to tremble continuously under the powerful shock waves. Then, a dark red beam tore through the dust like an anti-aircraft cannon, piercing forward. Everywhere it passed, mountain rocks exploded, until it embedded the figure, flashing with blinding lightning, into the mountainside before slowly dissipating. The man burst through the wall, his robes tattered and torn, his aura chaotic. Like a great goose drenched by a storm, The radiance around him dimmed considerably. With dark skin and a lean yet sturdy build, it was none other than the first Raikage. In a single leap, he landed on level ground, then swiftly turned to face the billowing dust, his dark features etched with solemnity. Corpses lay strewn around him, the Cloud Envoy returning from Hidden Leaf Village nearly wiped out, his guards all decapitated, blood soaking the ground. Why? Why? The first Raikage roared, thunderous fury burning in his eyes. Dust and smoke scattered, revealing two towering and burly figures. Their massive frames, grotesquely muscular, bore vicious eyes brimming with naked killing intent, while an overwhelming aura of brutality and savagery pressed down like a tidal wave. One had wildly flowing golden hair, the other bore dark, shadowy silver locks. Their sharp, elongated horns exuded an immense sense of oppression, while their eyes shimmered with an eerie purple glow. Gold horn, silver horn. The first Raikage spoke through gritted teeth. I know we've had many disagreements, but why did you attack your comrades? How is this any different from being rogue ninja? Baka, do we really need to explain ourselves to him at this point? Silverhorn sneered as he turned his head. What do you think, Goldhorn? Goldhorn rolled his neck, producing a series of cracking sounds. Well, what can you do? We were comrades once, after all. I suppose telling him wouldn't hurt. There are people who don't want you alive, and besides. Silverhorn raised an eyebrow, feigning reluctance. If you don't die, we won't have a reason to attack Hidden Leaf Village. Kill you, and the village comrades will believe Hidden Leaf Village murdered our Cloud Envoy. That's how we unite everyone, rallying them to a common cause. Goldhorn added. What? The first Raikage's eyes widened in shock. You're insane? The god of Shinobi is still alive. How dare you act like this? The Gold and Silver brothers exchanged a glance, their eyes filled with unmistakable mockery. That's none of your concern. Old man, your days were already numbered. Rather than stepping down for someone more capable, why not exhaust your last bit of strength for the village before you die? The two brothers stepped forward simultaneously, and as the words fell, thick tails of tailed beast chakra erupted from their bodies. A dark red-tailed beast cloak slowly covered their skin as their bodies gradually expanded, transforming into two massive, six-tailed monsters. Partial tailed beast transformation. How despicable. You disregard the lives of your comrades, acting only for your own selfish desires. As the founder of Hidden Clouds Village, I will never allow the two of you to run wild like this. The first Raikage roared, his body enveloped in surging lightning-style chakra. Electric currents surged, thunder flashed, and his radiant glow grew even more dazzling. Bastards. Chapter 83, Undercurrents. Don't be careless. Not a single trace of blood can remain. Hikari Uchiha stood gracefully atop a towering rock, directing the Gold and Silver brothers in cleaning up the battlefield. What I want is for them to vanish without a trace, for the Hidden Clouds Village leadership to never find them. Logically, this should have been a covert operation. She wrinkled her delicate little nose, sweeping a somewhat exasperated gaze over the half-destroyed Kaminari no Kyo. How did it end up like this? Goldhorn responded in a muffled voice. Sorry, Master. We'll be more careful next time. This old bastard is way too tough. Without unleashing our full power, there's no way we could take him down. Silverhorn tossed the corpse on his shoulder onto the pile of bodies and lazily raised his head. Don't worry, Master. We'll just claim it was a tailed beast's rampage. No one will suspect a thing. Sigh. Hikari couldn't help but facepalm. She knew that if it were Kamiane, he would have ended the fight the moment he landed a sneak attack. Sensing her displeasure, Goldhorn immediately walked over and nudged his brother with his shoulder. Silverhorn got the hint and promptly shut up, his movements to clean up the bodies becoming much more efficient. This was all thanks to Hikari's ocular technique, Yakugatana. 6 years ago, on Kamiane's suggestion, the two brothers were struck by Yakugatana and branded with a seal. This seal was directly imprinted on their souls and would never disappear unless they possessed the power of all creation, or Hikari herself removed the seal. From then on, the chakra of the two brothers was entirely under Hikari's control, to be summoned and used at will, disregarding distance and spatial transfer. Over the course of several years, Hikari indirectly invaded the mental realms of the Gold and Silver brothers through seals, collecting fragments of their memories, and performing operations such as mixing, deleting, and modifying them. Through persistent effort, Hikari finally took control of their minds, turning them completely into her own puppets. In the Raikage's office, behind the desk, a burly man with a top knot, a rugged appearance, and a full beard sized up Hikari Uchiha, narrowing his eyes slightly. Just a new friend we've made. Goldhorn said nonchalantly. Friends? The burly man looked skeptical. You two brothers actually made friends outside the village? Hey, Even though you're the acting Raikage now, not even the Raikage himself can dictate who we befriend, right? Silverhorn grinned, stepping forward alongside Goldhorn. Chapter 84, Eight Tails rampage the central area near the Raikage building in Hidden Clouds Village. A deep, frenzied roar pierced the night sky, jolting all villagers awake from their dreams. Barrier team, evacuate all villagers within a kilometer radius. Deploy the Iron Cloud formation. Sealing team, stand by for now. Wait for the right moment to initiate the seal. Combat team, charge with me. Don't give it a chance to fire a tailed beast bomb. With a grave expression, A took the lead in the charge while commanding the battle. At the very center of the arena, a massive pink-hued creature was rampaging and destroying everything in sight. It had two horns on its head, roared like thunder, and wielded 8 enormous octopus-like tentacles that thrashed wildly. Not far from its feet, the 8 Tails Jinchuriki, Killer Bee, lay buried in the rubble. With the tailed beast forcibly extracted, it meant Killer Bee was now nothing more than a lifeless corpse. Amidst flashes of lightning, roughly 20 shinobi encircled the 8 Tails, engaging it in a fierce battle. Countless ninjutsu techniques bombarded the beast, yet all proved largely ineffective. With a furious roar, the 8 Tails wrenched a towering structure from the ground with its 2 massive arms and hurled it crashing down upon the Cloud Ninja. Roared in anger, his body instantly enveloped in a crackling lightning armor as he charged headlong toward the 8 Tails in a flash of thunder. The tremendous impact actually sent the massive 8 Tails staggering. It swung its arm in retaliation, sending it flying. A streak of lightning pierced through 3 consecutive streets, causing buildings to collapse and shatter in waves. Lightning-style combination technique, 16-pillar restraint. The hands of 4 Anbu members simultaneously pressed onto the ground, and 16 stone pillars erupted from the earth, forming a prison-like barrier that trapped the massive body of the 8 Tails at its center. With a sizzling sound, blinding lightning erupted from the stone pillars simultaneously, weaving into a net of electricity that interconnected them. The blue lightning illuminated the 8 Tails directly. However, this move not only failed to inflict any damage on the 8 Tails but instead enraged it completely. Its 8 tentacle-like tails lashed out like fists, smashing all the stone pillars to pieces with wild swings. 2 ninja who couldn't retreat in time were buried under the rubble, their fate unknown. Several brawny jonin seized the opportunity to surround it, swinging massive chains to entangle the 8 Tails' arms and tentacles. Dozens of them pulled together, attempting to restrain its movements. With the furious roars of the Cloud Ninjas, the thick iron chains instantly pulled taut. Watching from the sidelines, Hikari Uchiha couldn't help but nod in approval, thinking to himself that the Hidden Cloud Village truly lived up to its reputation as a ninja village specializing in taijutsu, daring to fight a tailed beast with such primitive methods. However, human strength has its limits. How could it ever compare to a tailed beast? With just a flick of its power, the 8 Tails sent everyone flying like yo-yos. The 8 Tails leaped into the air and landed with a thunderous crash, its immense weight cracking the ground beneath. The force sent the surrounding fighters staggering, while it seized the moment to raise its head and began forming a tailed beast ball. A bolt of lightning shot from the distance like a piercing arrow, striking the 8 Tails squarely on the head and instantly disrupting the gathering chakra. But soon, the future second Raikage was sent flying once more, wreaking havoc on buildings within a kilometer radius. There was no helping it. His methods were too one-dimensional. In terms of combat between shinobi, he was undoubtedly a top-tier offensive weapon, but he was facing a tailed beast. A crisp sound of bones cracking was heard as Kinkaku and Ginkaku stretched their limbs and stepped forward. Kinkaku, it seems someone is struggling. Yes, Ginkaku, I wonder if Lorda needs us 2 old-timers to lend a hand. A's pupils contracted as he quickly scrambled out of the rubble. Wait, you two must not act. If you truly wish to help, use your amber purifying bottle to try and seal the 8 Tails. Ginkaku spread his hands and looked at his brother. Kinkaku, oh Kinkaku, it seems someone's memory isn't so great. If that thing could be used, wouldn't we have used it already? Indeed, Ginkaku. Last time the 2 Tails Jinchuriki went berserk, the amber purifying pot still had the 2 Tails sealed inside. If we recklessly open the lid now, releasing another tailed beast would be disastrous. Damn it. A's face was filled with anxiety. With the first Raikage absent, suppressing the 8 Tails alone would require unleashing his full power. But doing so would mean the village's destruction. A massive, oppressive aura spread across the battlefield like a rising tide. The 8 Tails opened its maw, and the red and blue chakra appeared, enveloping the entire Hidden Cloud Village in a dangerous presence. A could no longer afford to worry about losses. He immediately activated his lightning armor and charged forward fiercely, once again interrupting the 8 Tails mid-charge. As the battle progressed, countless buildings collapsed and shattered. Fortunately, the residents had been evacuated beforehand, so there were no civilian casualties for the time being. Just as Kinkaku and Ginkaku hesitated over whether to intervene, a calm young girl's voice sounded from behind them. "Let me handle this." Just by making eye contact, the battle can be over in an instant. Kinkaku immediately turned around and advised. "But that would not only expose our master's presence but also consume a great deal of your power. There's no other choice. In the future plans, the Eight Tails is a crucial link that cannot afford any mistakes." Hikari raised both hands, revealing a pair of crimson, beautiful Mangekyo Sharingan eyes beneath the black veil cloak. At that moment, A was struck again by the Eight Tails tentacle, sent flying far away, leaving no other ninja in the field. Just as Hikari was about to act, the Eight Tails suddenly let out a furious roar, wrapping its body with its 8 tentacles like a gigantic alien flower bud. Eight Tails coiling whirlwind. Kinkaku and Ginkaku immediately dashed forward, firmly shielding the petite Hikari behind them. "Master, run. If this move lands, half of Hidden Cloud's village will likely be flattened." From the distance came A's desperate cry, the barrier squad, fighting desperately to maintain the barrier. At that moment, a shadowy figure suddenly streaked across the night sky, the friction with the air creating a scorching and distorted current. The meteor-like descent was like a divine warrior descending from the heavens. Among all those present, only Hikari saw clearly. It was a young boy. He shattered the barrier in an instant, as effortlessly as breaking through a sugar crust, and plunged straight into the flower bud formed by the Eight Tails without the slightest pause, causing the entire Cloud Village to tremble. The storm swept through, grinding the debris into dust. Instead of hiding behind Kinkaku and Ginkaku, Hikari pushed them aside and stepped forward. The howling gale gradually dissipated, revealing Kamien standing atop the Eight Tails with his hands behind his back, his gaze clear and his features strikingly handsome. The Eight Tails beneath his feet was no longer frenzied, docile as a calf, its 2 lantern-sized ox eyes now shaped like 3 Tomoe Sharingan. Kamien looked down at Hikari, his black hair gently swaying, a faint smile on his lips. "Am I late?" Hikari froze for a moment, then smiled faintly. "No. Just in time." Chapter 85, Long time no see. Late at night, in the Cloud Village where the smoke of battle had just cleared. Kamien leaped down from the Eight Tails' head, smiling as he greeted Hikari. "Long time no see, I've missed you, Hikari." "Humphrey, even if you hadn't come, I could have handled it alone." Hikari's cheeks flushed slightly as she deliberately avoided his gaze. Yeah. Kamien walked up to Hikari, his body still emitting faint green vapor, having yet to release the third life gate state. "How about on your end?" "The first Raikage," he cast an inquiring glance and made a throat-slitting gesture. "Don't worry, it was done very cleanly." Hikari raised her small face, her fair and slender neck resembling that of a proud little swan. "And you?" "Of course I'm fine. This battle with Hashirama Senju has redefined my understanding of my own strength and avenged my parents' deep-seated blood feud. Apart from Tobirama's life, the Senju clan owes me nothing more." Kamien's eyes revealed a trace of emotion as he glanced at the chaotic surroundings. Seems like there was an unexpected turn of events. The Eight Tails suddenly went berserk. Hikari nodded slightly. "Did you do that?" Kamien blinked, looking somewhat surprised. "Of course not." Hikari rolled her eyes gracefully, her expression slightly disdainful. "It really was just an accident." Kamien pondered for a moment, and a sudden thought arose in his heart. If the first Raikage hadn't died at this point in time, then in the original timeline, he most likely perished in this very battle, exhausting all his strength to protect the village and ultimately dying after sealing the Eight Tails. Were there any civilian casualties? Kamien suddenly asked. Golden Horn immediately responded from the side. "Rest assured, Lord Kamien," Elda reacted promptly and evacuated the civilians right away. "You are as kind-hearted as ever. I just don't want to burden my conscience." Kamien murmured quietly, then leaned forward to look behind Golden Horn, a faint smile curling at the corners of his lips. "And one more thing, don't call him Elda anymore. Address him as the second Raikage." The group turned their heads in unison toward the collapsed barrier, where a dust-covered figure came rushing toward them. "What is going on here?" Elda looked utterly bewildered, noticing the sudden appearance of this unfamiliar youth before him. However, when his chakra sensing provided feedback, he immediately became as tense as if facing a formidable enemy, his eyes filled with gravity. "You? Who are you? Did you take down the Eight Tails?" "My name is Kamien Uchiha." Suppressing the Eight Tails was merely a trivial task. Just playing the role of a hero on a whim. Kamien tilted his head slightly. "But none of that matters now." With a faint smile, Kamien raised his hand and vanished on the spot, his afterimage coalescing into a blade-like strike that instantly slashed toward the nape of Elda's neck. What? That speed is impossible. Elda felt as if struck by a crushing blow. His lightning armor shattered in an instant, as fragile as paper, while the figure of that young boy before him dissipated like mist. His eyes rolled back uncontrollably as he collapsed forward onto his knees, on the verge of passing out. A slender hand gripped the back of his neck, lifting him effortlessly as a faint fragrance wafted over. Hikari Uchiha had flashed before him in an instant. In his nearly closed eyes reflected a pair of crimson, mesmerizing pupils, their dark patterns swirling like swallows in flight. Plop. Kamiane released his grip, letting Elda's unsupported body collapse to the ground, completely unconscious. On the back of Elda's hand, a Mangekyo Sharingan mark slowly emerged like a fleeting illusion. In just 1 second, they instantly took down a Kage-level powerhouse while marking them with the Ochio no Mai seal. Kamiane turned and instructed. The 8 tails are now under control. You two go divert the attention of the other Cloud Ninja and help calm the civilians while you're at it. The Gold and Silver brothers nodded immediately, their figures flashing as they vanished from the spot. Kamiane deactivated the 8 gates formation and approached Hikari, asking softly. Are you alright? Have you been using Amaterasu or Tsukaimi again recently? Hikari immediately lowered her small hand that was rubbing her eyes. Despite the dryness of her eyelids and the glistening tears streaming down, she forced herself to say. I'm fine. This little exhaustion is nothing. Kamiane let out a soft sigh and used the back of his hand to wipe away the tears clinging to her delicate face. Promise me, after this time, don't use your pupil technique anymore. I'm not as fragile as you imagine. Your eyesight. Kamiane sighed helplessly. Right now, I don't need too much help from you, at least not in terms of pupil techniques, but in the future. What about the future? Hikari lifted her delicate face to ask. Kamiane took a deep breath, his gaze shifting to the boundless starry sky. There may be an unavoidable battle to the death waiting for me in the future. Promise me this, Hikari. Save all your strength for that moment. How much longer? Until that battle you mentioned? Hikari finally raised her hand to cover her left eye, where a nearly rigid pain throbbed. I'm not sure either. But that's not the issue we need to focus on right now. You don't need to control this Elda. I'll figure it out myself. Hikari let out a light snort. The Yakugatena is my innate ocular technique. The consumption of pupil power isn't that exaggerated. Besides, I've already marked it. There's no reason not to control it. Alright. How long will it take to completely control his mind? Hikari rubbed her dry eyelids. It'll probably take about 2 weeks. That timing would be just right. You've worked hard. He turned and walked into the darkness, leaving behind only ruins and the 8 tails standing dumbfounded in place. After the 8 tails rampage was suppressed, under the orderly command of the Gold and Silver brothers and other high-ranking officials, the Hidden Cloud village gradually returned to its former tranquility. Goldhorn publicly announced that Elda, due to severe injuries, is currently recuperating at the Hidden Clouds village hospital. During this period, all village affairs will be temporarily handled by the brothers until the first Raikage returns or Elda fully recovers. Meanwhile, Hikari silently searched through the fragments of memory in his mental world, initiating the brainwashing process. And so, time slipped away day by day as the people of Hidden Clouds village eagerly awaited the return of their Raikage. Chapter 86, The Leaf Village plagued by internal and external troubles. Hidden Leaf Village, Hokage Building. Obirama Senju stood with his back to the desk, gazing out the window, where the smooth glass reflected a face clouded with sorrow. After several days of rest, his injuries had partially healed, yet his complexion remained ashen, as if he had aged decades overnight. In truth, he had already learned everything from Kagami. Knowing that Kamiane wouldn't target Hidden Leaf Village for the time being, he had returned to the village from the secret base. A few days ago, Kagami teleported to the base using the Flying Thunder God technique and reported the current battle situation to Tobirama. Apart from the matter of the 5-year agreement, he documented everything that happened between him and Kamiane in the mission report, including the details of their confrontation and the words exchanged between them. Of course, matters involving the deal with Kamiane, voluntarily offering his eyes in exchange for 5 years. Such things were glossed over by Kagami. Such a simple explanation naturally couldn't fool Tobirama. Therefore, regarding the reason for Kamiane's retreat, Kagami's explanation was, Kamiane's true objective was never to destroy Hidden Leaf Village, but to obtain his own Mangekyo Sharingan. Obirama nodded repeatedly upon hearing this, for he knew that back then, Madara had only gained such formidable power by transplanting his deceased brother Izuna's eyes. Kagami explained that due to the nature of his ocular jutsu, Kamiane was powerless against him. Attacking lightly wouldn't subdue him, but striking too hard would risk damaging the eyes he coveted so much. Thus, even with the power to annihilate him in an instant, they were still constrained by their own concerns, left in a tight spot. Obirama, ever astute, grasped the crux of the matter almost immediately and voiced his doubt. Didn't he threaten you with the village? Kagami's answer was, he did, but I would have destroyed my own eyes right then, leaving him no choice but to retreat in frustration. In response, Tobirama first praised his disciples' will of fire in sacrificing oneself for justice, then solemnly cautioned, proceed with utmost caution. Kamiane will not give up on stealing the eyes, so from now on, you must stay vigilant and leave no opening for him to exploit. Obirama was a cautious man. He read the mission report submitted by Kagami over a dozen times, scrutinizing every word and sentence, attempting to discern Kamiane's intentions and analyze the intelligence. Then, he came to a terrifying conclusion. With his current strength, appearing within Kamiane's line of sight would mean certain death. Apart from that, there was another piece of news that deeply concerned him. It was during the battle between the two brothers at the Valley of the End when Kagami was accidentally punched by Kamiane into the chest of the Madara Uchiha statue, and Kamiane unintentionally blurted out, "Ah, how inauspicious." This piece of flesh took Lord Madara 6 years to grow back. Flesh? Wound? What kind of injury takes 6 years to heal? Speaking of which, after that great battle back then, Tobirama rushed to his elder brother's side and noticed a scab of blood on his shoulder. That wound wasn't caused by any blunt or sharp object. It looked more like a bite mark. But at the time, he was too focused on dealing with Kamiane to pay it much mind, merely sneering internally at Madara. A man who had spent his whole life pursuing elegance in battle, now revealing such a beastly side. Could it be that Madara actually bit off a piece of his elder brother's flesh back then? He vaguely sensed that there was something deeply eerie about this matter. Madara Uchiha had most likely transplanted his elder brother's flesh and blood. This couldn't help but arouse his intense suspicion. Why would Madara do such a thing? Could it be that by combining the powers of the Senju and Uchiha, one could awaken an even greater strength? On that rainy night 6 years ago, Madara faked his death and disappeared from everyone's sight. What exactly has he been scheming in the shadows? He remained silent for a long time, utterly perplexed. But now he had no time to think about these matters, because there was a more serious situation awaiting his attention. On the day he returned to the village, he also brought back a corpse and a piece of devastating news. His elder brother, Hashirama Senju, had fallen. He himself was severely injured beyond recovery, left with chronic ailments. Whenever he unleashed chakra, his heart would feel as if pierced by knives, his life hanging by a thread. Effectively losing his Kage-level combat abilities. This is a very serious internal injury. To fully recover, it will take at least 8 to 10 years. That night, all the top officials held a meeting, and the conference room in the Hokage's office erupted into fierce arguments. 80% of the people believed that the news of the Hokage's death should not be announced, especially under such dire circumstances with Sarutobi Sasuke dead and Senju Tobirama severely injured. The new generation has yet to mature, and the village is severely lacking in Kage-level combat power. Announcing this now would be tantamount to showing weakness to the other 4 great shinobi villages. Meanwhile, the 20% of representatives led by the Senju clan argued that Hashirama Senju had dedicated his entire life to service. Not only founding Hidden Leaf Village but also pioneering an era that ended the Warring States period. Such monumental achievements deserved a grand funeral to allow the entire world to mourn him, rather than letting him pass away in obscurity. Both sides held firm to their views, and the debate remained unresolved. In the end, Mido Uzumaki intervened, insisting on holding the funeral but without announcing it to the world. Only notifying all Hidden Leaf villagers would suffice. To this, Tobirama could only frown in agreement. He was actually on the side of reason. This method of burying one's head in the sand wouldn't deceive anyone for long. Thus, 3 days later, the Hidden Leaf village held a grand funeral for the god of shinobi, with all its villagers coming to mourn in silence. As the mournful and solemn eulogy was slowly recited, everyone was in tears, mourning the god of shinobi who had brought peace to the chaotic world. The true cause of his death was classified by the higher-ups, who only publicly claimed it was due to exhaustion and the end of his natural lifespan. But Tobirama knew all too well. That night, when Kamiane attacked Hidden Leaf Village, the Kage from the other 4 great shinobi villages were all present. Once the news leaks out, anyone with eyes will see that it was Kamiane who killed the god of shinobi. But this isn't necessarily bad news. Tobirama once used the intelligence that Madara faked his death abroad to intimidate the other 4 great nations for a full 6 years. Now, Kamiane's infamy must also be put to use. He pressed his temples, but the exhaustion in his eyes remained unresolved. On the night of Hashirama's burial, he was unanimously elected by the High Council to become the 2nd Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village. Although the work he did now was no different from when his elder brother was still alive, only when he truly sat in this position could he understand the responsibilities and pressures that came with being the Hokage. The village's current situation is far from optimistic, with only a handful of Kage-level powerhouses remaining as its strongest combatants. The three most formidable fighters are either dead or incapacitated, while the clan leaders, having grown complacent over time, have long neglected their training and devoted more energy to power struggles. Apart from Hyuga Harukes, none of them retain their former Kage-level strength. The strongest of the new generation, like Hiruzen and Denzo, only possess mere Jonin-level abilities at best. The old waves cannot be surpassed, the new ones have yet to rise, surrounded by formidable foes, beset with troubles within and without. No. Obirama suddenly raised his head, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes.